Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see what if Naruto decides to forge his own path and make his own legacy. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. People of Konoha stood in front of the Hokage tower gazing upon their savior. Yondaime Hokage Namikaze Minato, I have before you the heroes of this village. These two children separately have both yin and yang Kyuubi chakras sealed within them. But do not fear, he said, Kyuubi's soul has been sealed in my son, as he brought up another baby with whisker marks on his cheeks. Kyuubi shall never appear again. You have not just me, but also these three infants. All three of my own children to thank. The blonde man continued. I may be the one who sealed the Kyuubi, but it were my children who stopped the great demon from completely destroying our village. My children shall forever be known as heroes of Konohagakure no Sato. Crowd shouted roars of approval as their leader smiled at villagers. However, as he was exhausted from day, he missed little murmurs in the group of people. 12 years later, young blonde-haired boy with whiskers looked out of window. His eyes shining purple with black concentric rings and dot in the middle. The Rinnegan. Suddenly his eyes changed color from purple to red as 9 tomes sprouted in his eyes, 3 on each concentric circle. His eyes were locked on a group of people. 2 12-year-old girls with red hair were training just outside. These 2 girls are Natsumi and Naruko Uzumaki Namikaze. 2-chan, Ka-chan, we did it, yelled Naruko. That's great girls, keep it up and you'll eventually surpass your Ka-chan, said Minato. Your father is right, but that's enough for now or you'll be late for school, said Kushina Uzumaki. With that everyone went inside to get ready. Boy's eyes shifted to blue color as he went to bathroom because he too needed to go to school. Well, I guess it's time to get ready. Naikyu-chan? He spoke to his tenant. How many times do I have to tell you? Don't call me that, yelled Kyuubi. You know I like that nickname, but I'll stop Kurami-chan. There, better? Said the boy. Much better, Naruto-kun, said now identified Kurami-chan. In the school he sat in his desk at the back of the class. He wore black t-shirt with kanji, seal, black pants and sandals. He also had white cloak with Konoha symbol on the back. Namikaze Naruto, adult voice called out as the boy stood up and walked to the front of the class. Sure it is. He loved sarcasm. Some sent him annoyed glances while others chuckled at his remark. Although he was the son of fourth, he had no respect coming his way. From his age group it was only couple of annoying fangirls that only liked him because of his father. Everybody loves his sisters because since they had Kyuubi's chakras sealed within them they were known as the saviors of village, while Naruto being a container of Kyuubi's soul was ignored and quite often scorned and seen as incarnation of demon. His sisters were best in the academy, known as the Namikaze princesses, while Naruto was the supposed dead last. A student exited the exam room. It was Natsumi. Her eyes held nothing but arrogance as she stared at Naruto. Good luck, Aniki, she said, mock in her voice obvious. Ah, thank you. I Muoto, Naruto replied dripping with sarcasm. Hope you fail, she said with malice in her voice. Hurry up Namikaze, we don't want to prolong this more than it needs to. Naruto merely gave a nod. From the corner of his eye he could see Naruto glaring at him with cold eyes. Alright Naruto, you have already done the previous tests such as Henge, Kawarimi, Taijutsu, written exam, etc. Right now you are asked to do 5 perfectly working clones. Judging from your difficulties last year I hope you trained well, said Iruka. At this Naruto lazily made cross-hand sign and said, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. In puff of smoke 5 clones stood there looking at examiners. Of course he could do it without hand sign, but that would raise unnecessary questions. So I pass? He asked. Yes, you pass with flying colors, answered Iruka as Mizuki stared with hidden scowl. But I must ask, where did you learn Kage Bunshin? Did your father teach you? Asked Iruka. Naruto cringed at the mention of his father, but answered nonetheless. Nah, I seen him do it once and I just trained until I got it down, he answered. It wasn't a lie. He saw his father trying to teach his sisters Kage Bunshin during one of their morning training sessions. His eyes have powers of Mangekyo Sharingan, Rinnegan and also some unique powers special to his eyes, so he used Sharingan's ability to copy jutsu. Iruka smiled at Naruto. It seems he's going to become great ninja just like his father. He thought. Congratulations Naruto, you are now shinobi of Konohagakure, he said as he handed boy his forehead protector. Naruto smiled as he tied the headband on his forehead and walked out of exam room. He sat his desk which was just below his sister's desk. I see you somehow managed to pass, said Natsumi. You have some good eyes, Imuoto, said Naruto as Natsumi scowled at him. Don't get cocky, you're only 3 minutes older you do. Stop it, Natsumi, said Naruto. But tried Natsumi before she got interrupted again. He's not worth it, she said. Aw, that kinda hurts. I think I'll go cry to mommy and daddy that my sisters are mean to me. Naruto sobbed in melodramatic manner, while his sisters glared at him. Weakling. I won't acknowledge you as my kin, nonetheless my Oni-chan. Even as the oldest you're not worthy enough to even be considered as heir to clan by our father. Once upon a time that remark would anger Naruto, but he didn't care about things like that anymore so he just shrugged and decided to have some fun. Hey guys, Natsumi and Naruto just told me they're in love with someone in this class and it's not that Uchiha douche. The boys shot out from their seat and crowded around the Namikaze girls, while Naruto made his way out of the crowd. It seems I'm going to have a brothers-in-law soon, he said. He could hear curses coming from his sisters. He ignored them as he took empty seat on the other side of the class near the window and just stared outside as if the current situation wasn't going on. He decided to talk to Kurami. I have a feeling that something is going to happen soon, Kurami-chan. Oh, and what do you think? Answered his inner tenant. This conversation continued for quite a while when Kurami decided to have a side as he went through the memories of obvious resentment from his sisters and neglect of his parents. Sorry Naruto, but your sisters need training in controlling their powers, otherwise they could get or hurt others in the academy. Minato stated, but I still don't understand why can't you train me early too at the same time? Answered Naruto. Trust me Naruto, I will train you when you are ready, he said as both him and Kushina went back to training the twins. Today on birthday party I plan on letting the twins sign the Toad contract, he said. Do you think they're ready? Asked Kushina. They definitely have chakra for it and it would be good for them to have backup just in case they end up in danger. He answered and Kushina smiled. In fact, Minato continued, I've been thinking of making one of those two heir of clan. He said as Kushina gave puzzled look. But what about Naruto? Minato's look hardened at this. Naruto doesn't show any promise as a leader nor as a shinobi if academy grades are something to go by. I just think one of girls will be better choice. Outside the bedroom door stood young blonde with pained expression. Naruto then smiled fondly as he remembered the day he met Kurami. Blonde boy was in his bed crying himself to sleep. Just because he decided that if his family doesn't want him, he will stop trying to be part of family, doesn't mean he doesn't feel pain. Things like this take time. As he fell asleep he found himself in the sewer. He was wondering what the hell was going on when he heard woman's voice, "Come closer child." He didn't know why but he followed the voice until he stood before a huge cage with kanji, seal, on it. He figured it was Kyuubi who called but in the cage was but darkness. As he came closer he could see beautiful girl around his age, she had long red hair and red eyes. She also had a pair of fox ears and 9 tails behind her. Kyuubi, he said. It was a statement. Correct Kit, I am Kyuubi no Kitsune, however you can call me Kurami, she said. Ukai, why am I here? Asked Naruto. Because it's time for you to learn the truth, replied Kurami. The truth? He said confused. Yes, now come closer, and he did. He didn't know why, but his instincts were telling him to trust her so he just did. When he stood in front of her Kurami brought up her head which was glowing white and touched his forehead. As soon as she touched his forehead Naruto screamed in pain as his eyes started bleeding. When it was done Naruto was on the ground panting. What did you do? He asked while breathing heavily. I unlocked your hidden power Naruto-kun. Also I gave you some of my memories so that you know what really happened the day I attacked Konoha. Kurami replied. That's when it clicked, as memories started playing before his eyes. Naruto has seen Kurami being ripped out of Kushina, the masked Uchiha and how she ended inside of him. I see. But who do you mean my hidden power? And why do my eyes hurt? He heard her sigh. Look in the water. I gave you Dujutsu. It has power of both Mangekyo Sharingan and Rinnegan without the drawbacks plus few other abilities unique to your eyes only. I'm going to train you in your Dujutsu and in using my chakra correctly. Not that stupid way your sisters are doing it. They won't be able to master my chakra anyway. You on the other hand will be able to use KCM, Kyuubi chakra mode, and BM, Biju mode. You'll also be capable of Biju transformation. Redhead explained. Okay, I get the dujutsu, but how am I going to use your power when it's sealed within my sister's Kurami-chan? Naruto asked. Kurami chuckled at him and said, actually I replenished all of my chakra few minutes after I got sealed into you. So sisters only hold half of my power each. And even so they won't be able to use more than 4 taels of my chakra since without soul it just pure chakra of malice and hate. You on the other hand contain my soul, hence the reason we're talking right now. So what can my eyes do? Asked Naruto curious. He heard about 3 great dujutsu, but he didn't know much about their abilities. Hell, only thing he knew about Rinnegan was that it belonged to Rikudo Sennin. Well, your Sharingan can copy jutsu, see chakra, see through most genjutsu, cast a genjutsu and predict movements. The Mangekyu gives you Amaterasu, Tsukuyomi and Susanoo. As for your Rinnegan, well there are quite a few abilities like, for example ability to see chakra, though it's to higher extent than Sharingan, you can also see nature chakra and barriers. You also gain almost perfect chakra control. Unlike Sharingan which copies jutsu, Rinnegan can analyze them and make it easier for you to learn and perfect. You can also create specialized black rods as weapon out of nowhere. If you create clones or use those black rods as chakra conductor to control other bodies, you will be able to share sight with them. Then there are the 6 paths. Diva lets you manipulate gravity at your whim. Preta can absorb chakra with just a simple touch. Animal lets you have multiple contracts and gives you ability to summon creatures special to Rinnegan wielder. Human path gives you the ability to read minds and rip out souls. Asura gives you the ability to customize your own body and Naraka path gives you the ability to summon King of Hell. There is also the 7th path, outer path. It gives you the ability to control life and death. Use chakra chains similar to your mother's Uzumaki chains. But yours will be able to suck out someone's strength and chakra. You can also summon Gedo Mazo and open the pathway to the limbo where you can send your clone. That clone will always be with you and will have same knowledge and powers as you. You will be able to call upon him in battle so it like there are 2 of you fighting, but only you will be able to see him. As for your Shin no Mi itself, I don't know its full extent but it magnifies all of your abilities, such as speed, chakra control, power, etc. Also you can use Shinpo, the God Step. You can teleport anywhere that's in your line of sight. You can also mark places and teleport to them no matter the distance or if you see them. If you place one of those marks on someone, they will be able to call you to them and communicate with you. You will also be able to distort the space a little. In the end to others it'll look like their attacks are passing straight through you. Kind of like Kamui, but it works. I said I don't know full abilities of those eyes but that's all I know and it's already enough to call you God by most humans. That is if you master those abilities. Wow, that's so cool, I can't wait. Can we start training now? Please? Naruto asked, jumping with excitement. Kurami chuckled at him. We will start tomorrow, you should go to sleep now. I see. Well thank you Kurami-chan. Iruka yelled at the group of boys, telling them to sit down, knocking Naruto back to the real world. They all made their way back to their desks with gloom expressions on their faces. The Namikaze girls seemed to be paled and drained of energy but all the more angry as they gave a glare to Naruto sitting in the far back corner. He glanced at them and back out the window, only barely listening to Iruka's words as he began his rant on what it meant to be a shinobi of Konoha. Every student and their parents gathered outside the academy congratulating their children on their graduation and their promotion as Genin of the Leaf. A crimson-haired woman stood outside, standing in the front of the academy with the rest of their parents until she heard a voice catching her attention. Hey Kasen. The older woman turned to see a red-haired girl. Naruko. Ah Naruko. Natsumi. How was it? Uzumaki Kushina asked as she added Natsumi into the hug. The 2 girls released the hug from their mother. Natsumi pointed to her hite-aidan around her head and gave an energetic grin. We passed, it was easy. Naruko nodded in aloof agreement with a small smile graced on her lips. Kushina smiled at her daughters. I'm so proud of you too. If only your father could be here to see you, but he had important business to tend to at the Hokage Tower today. I'm sure he'd love to hear about this tonight over dinner. The girls beamed as they loved to see their father's reaction to their promotion to genin. Kushina smiled brightly, but it dropped when she noticed something out of place. Have you girls seen Naruto? Did he do well? Natsumi shrugged. I saw him walk that way towards town, probably going to that cheap Ichiraku place. He passed, but I think just barely, knowing him. But enough about him. Can you show us some more moves we can do with our demon chakra? Kushina was a bit upset with the fact that Naruto wasn't there to meet with them. Lately the boy has been growing distant with the family, but she was sure that he'd be back for dinner at the least. Naruko saw the look of worry that was on her mother's face when Natsumi mentioned Naruto. The girl scowled. Naruko never thought of Naruto as a bother. He was annoying and sarcastic at the least. A weak guy like him being of relation to her was an insult in her opinion, and that was the main reason she disliked her brother. She was actually okay with the fact that he rarely showed when the family would eat breakfast every morning or when their parents would train her and her sister or go on walks around the village. He was a nuisance, and a guy like him making her mother upset made her upset as well. That weakling upsetting Ka-sama. Why did he have to become a ninja? He'll disgrace our name. Kushina smiled at the girls and nodded. I'm sure I can show you girls a thing or two with your yokai chakra to better your control over it. But first let's head somewhere to have a bite to eat. Okay. Kushina and Natsumi began walking off into the green light district of the village, but stopped to look back at the remaining Naruko, who stood still looking off into the distance as the other families began ushering their children away from the academy. Naru-chan, are you coming? Natsumi looked at her sister. I think I'll go look for Naruto, she said with cold voice before journeying in the opposite direction. Kushina and Natsumi just stared in confusion. Well, be sure to fetch him back home before 6. I don't want you kids missing dinner. Okay, Ka-chan. Naruko stated in the distance as she leaped onto a nearby building and began hopping from rooftop to rooftop. Kushina and Natsumi turned and began walking in the other direction, only to be stopped by a group of villagers asking for their autographs. Naruto just left a certain place as he was watching the leaves fall as he breathed in heavily. This training ground was the only spot that he could train by himself without interruption, since no one dared to enter it. Training Ground 44. No one besides Anko Mitarashi. He first met Anko when he ran in the forest because of one of the fox hunts, and having similar lives they quickly became friends. Besides Kurami, Ayame, Yugo and Anko, no one knew his true abilities. Naruto had a natural affinity for wind, but when Kurami activated his dujutsu he gained fire, water, earth, lightning, gravity, yin and yang. He could actually combine elements to create sub-elements. Kurami informed him it's probably because of his eyes. Shin no Mi. On the outskirts of the Forest of the Death, Naruto's gaze fell to the sky and the passing clouds. You can come out now, Naruto. A moment of silence can be heard before a figure jumped into the clearing and began to proceed forward. She stopped 10 feet away from the blonde boy and just stood staring at him with cold eyes. What do you need, Imuoto? Naruto stated with a bored voice as he placed his hands in his pockets. Why must I be of kin to someone like you? You came all the way here to ask that? It's dangerous here. What would mother and father say if they knew you were here? Don't worry, I won't tell them. As for your question, I don't know. Same parents maybe? That might be it right there. I think. I don't know, what do you think? Naruto said sarcastically. Today was just lovely. Naruto formed a fighting stance that he recognized quite quickly to be the kata for the taijutsu that his father used. His face darkened at this. Huh, so that's how you gonna be, Naru-chan. I truly don't want to hurt you. Don't worry, because Adobe like you can't touch me. With that she charged her brother with swift movements. Her first strike was aimed to Naruto's face, which he easily dodged in a lazy droopy manner. Naruto sent a swift kick below to Naruto's legs, which he then hopped over in a somersault-like manner. The red-haired girl took this time to send a strong right kick to the boy suspended in air. The kick connected with Naruto's side, but before Naruto could be sure to claim her short victory, Naruto exploded into smoke. Shadow clones, she thought. Naruto appeared behind her with a kunai to the girl's throat and a dull voice in her ear. Hi. Naruto growled as she elbowed the boy in the stomach. Naruto charged the boy with more strikes. Naruto channeled chakra into his light leg and kicked her. Naruto was sent flying, hitting the tree. Bastard. Ah, adorable, you're upset because you're losing. She formed a series of hand seals. Tsurugi Ogushi no Jutsu, hairblade technique. Naruto shouted as her hair sprouted a life of its own and began spinning uncontrollably, destroying any trees in her vicinity. Naruto kept dodging until her hair dropped back to her shoulders and she began looking for the blonde boy who was nowhere to be found. She paused when she heard a chilling voice. "Hey there." She turned slightly to see a kneeling Naruto behind her with his hands clasped together as if ready to perform a Kaiden jutsu. He stared at her with dull cold eyes, and in the moment she was sure that he was going to kill her. "You need a lesson in respecting your brother. You'll learn it now though," the boy stated as maniacal grin reached his face. Naruto's eyes widened in horror. Konoha taijutsu ugi, sennen garashi. With that, Naruto's hands shot far up a place where the sun doesn't shine. The red-haired girl's face went from horror to confusion to an awkward twist of pain to seething anger as she was pushed into the air, landing in the trees. Naruto stood to his feet and chuckled to himself, placing his hands into his pockets. As if anticipating what to happen next, the boy watched as an unstoppable force came rushing from the forest. The very trees began falling down at the sheer power this force displayed before it reached the clearing, to be revealed as very angry Naruto, whose face was both red from embarrassment and anger. You, she seethed as she rushed Naruto. She tightened a fist to be aimed at her brother's face. From out of seemingly nowhere a figure appeared blocking the fist. Naruto and Naruto were both shocked to find a tall blonde man who shared similar facial appearances as Naruto. He smirked as he brought the young girl's fist down to her sides. "I think that's enough." The two young preteens both stopped their violent spout to focus their attention on the tall blonde man. He wore a long white trench coat that had designer red flames on the hems, and written on the back of said trench coat were kanji for Yondaime Hokage. Under his trench coat was a standard Konoha Jonin vest and navy blue shinboy shirt, pants, and sandals. He had an all-knowing smile plastered on she face with his eyes gently closed. Naruto seethed at her brother Naruto before looking out to the taller blonde with a worried face. "But Sama, he started it." The young Hokage looked between the two youngsters. Is that so? Well, he turned his attention to Naruto, who held an overall cold and indifferent expression to the current situation. "I'm sure he is sorry, isn't that right, Naruto?" The blonde boy in questioning said nothing as he looked up to his father with his dull sapphire eyes. "I have nothing to apologize for. Dachi was the one that wanted to fight, I was just training alone," Naruto stated, pointing with his eyes to his crimson-haired sibling who stared him down coldly with no remorse. The blonde Hokage looked between his two children with a sheepish expression as he could fully see their little stare-off taking place. Bringing them into a tight hug much to their surprise and relative reactions, he chuckled lightly. "Come now my children, no need to fight." "Yeah, no need to fight Naruto, you bully." "Shut it, you doby. Calm down you two." "Yeah, calm down Naruto. I am calm, being near a doofus like Uzushio." "Shut up you two." The two kids paused at the outburst by their father, as who seemed to be rather agitated with their behaviors. "Now I will have no more of this when we get back home to the estate. I heard from your mother that you two along with your sister have passed your exams and become shinobi in the ranks." The two stared at the man. Naruto out of somewhat fear of her father, and Naruto with dull disinterest. "Now how am I supposed to allow shinobi who childishly bicker with one another over menial things to even protect what actually matters? The village?" The two stayed silent. "Naruto, I want you to stop antagonizing your brother, and Naruto." The blonde man turned to his only son, who stared back coldly. "I want you to act more mature. You are the eldest, act like it. I can only assume by how you usually do in the academy that you only passed by the skin of your teeth, which leaves no room for you to behave childish." Naruto stared at the man. If he would have been paying more attention, he would have known that boy had gradually improved through hard work over the years since the first year of the academy, without his help. The blonde boy was as calm as ever while his father seemingly chewed him out. He didn't even listen to what he has to say. "Hokage-sama." The three were interrupted by the entrance of a group of 3 Anbu entering the clearing of the training grounds. "We have urgent news. Your wife Namikaze Kushina and daughter Namikaze Natsumi have been attacked, and the absence of Namikaze Natsumi has shown that she has been kidnapped and taken from the scene of the crime." Naruto and Minato Namikaze held a shocked expression at the new news while Naruto sat silent listening to the rest of the details. What? Kushina-sama has been stated to be safe but with slight injury which we have her tended to at the nearby hospital. We have found no current trace of said person who has captured Natsumi-sama, but we are sure that they are of a shinobi in our ranks. We have already issued an underground Anbu search to find her, but we have been out of luck with no clues for the moment, stated the Anbu black op with the mask of a cat. This was Yugo Azuki, one of Naruto's few precious people. Say no more. The older Namikaze rose to his feet. Come, we must inform the ranks and issue an all-out search. We will find her, am I clear? Yes sir. Naruto waved at her and she waved back. The blonde man looked down behind him to Naruto and Naruko. Naruko holding an upset expression while Naruto looked indifferent. I want you two to head home immediately. I can't risk the both of you getting captured also. That is not only an order as your father but an order as your Hokage, understand? Naruto and Naruko nodded, although the red-haired girl's was a more shaken gesture. In an instant both the group and Anbu and the Yondaime disappeared in a swirl of leaves. I shouldn't have left them. Naruko muttered to herself as she stood shaken in the clearing. Naruto began walking off the grounds. Naruko spotted this and immediately scowled. Where are you going? Naruto didn't even look over his shoulder. Home. Aren't you even worried about Natsumi? She could be hurt or worse. You are just terrible. You are just going to walk Awa. I'm not really family, so it doesn't really matter, right? You said it yourself. Naruto paused a good few feet away from her. The wind blowing between the two with the leaves scattering from their places on the branches of the trees. A wheelking and embarrassment to both the Namikaze and Uzumaki Nane couldn't possibly be able to fix a situation like this, so it's pointless, right? Right? Naruko's scowl darkened as she stared at the back of the blonde boy. Right. Wrong. She rose a red eyebrow at this as she watched Naruto snatch a flowing leaf from the air and turn towards a seemingly random tree as she heard him mutter something, and then, as if the leaf had completely transformed into a kunai of sorts, suddenly flew out of his hand and pierced a tree. Her blonde brother chuckled at her as he walked towards the tree, noticing the leaf had empiled a small paper of the sort. It keeps people guessing, I suppose, to be an embarrassment that comes out on top. An underdog. You should be able to notice sarcasm when you see it, Naruko Imuoto. The boy removed the razor-sharp leaf and in turn picked up the note in its wake. The red-haired girl stared at the back of her brother intently before her glare softened. Naruko walked up to him to observe said note. What is this? She stated in mild interest. I'm sure there was someone here, but they seem to have left a ransom note here. And it's about Natsumi. Read it then. Quick. Naruto winced at the volume of the girl's voice. Geez. You're louder than what most people would assume you were. He placed the paper closer to his face as Naruko read from over his shoulder. Hi there, Namikaze brats. If you have not already known, I am the one who has your demon sister. If you want her to live, steal the Forbidden Scroll from the Hokage's office tonight and bring it to the training ground number 11 near the Forbidden Forest. You have 1 hour after the sun sets. Inform anybody about this note and I will cut her up real nice and pretty and send her to you piece by piece. Naruto's eyes narrowed at the wording of the note while he could feel the killer intent radiating from his sister Naruko. I'm going to kill him. Well, can't do that exactly until we get the Forbidden Scroll, right? Naruko looked at him in disbelief. Are you joking again? We have to tell someone, or are you stupid? He already stated what will happen if we tell anyone. We going to have to do this on our own. Now come on, we have no time. Naruto stated aloud as he made a break from the training grounds to the Hokage Tower. Naruko followed suit. What if there is someone in there? We could get in big trouble. Odds are, everyone is too busy looking for Natsumi to care. Now are you gonna help me or go home? Naruko just continued to follow Naruto, which he took as a selection of the later option. Well, that was pretty damn easy. Naruto stated, carrying a large scroll strapped to his back with his crimson-haired sister following suit as they began walking through the Hokage's library to the exiting door. I didn't know Sandaime-sama was a pervert, to be tricked by such a jutsu. Naruko stated as she paused to glance back at the old man who was now passed out in a puddle of his own noseblood and wrapped in some ninja rope and gagged. Naruto smirked as he turned to his sister. Oirope no Jutsu is a pretty powerful jutsu. I made it after a. Will you shut it? We have a schedule to follow here, let's hurry in. Intruders. Get to Natsumi with the scroll. Naruko stated dejected as she and Naruto noticed the newfound presence of Konoha shinobi in the Hokage's archives. The ninja began tossing dozens of shuriken toward the siblings. Naruto stood in front of Naruko, extended his hand and muttered, "Shinra Tensei." All of the shurikens stopped in the air and fell to the ground. Naruko watched shocked at what her brother did. "Do Dobi. We don't have time to play around, I'll deal with them quickly," Naruto said, not facing Naruko. But, Naruko started but was interrupted by Naruto. "Sorry for this. Limbo." As every one of Konoha shinobi, one after another was sent flying, hitting the wall, thus ending up knocked out. "It's dark in here, there's no way they've seen my eyes," he thought. Naruko was rendered speechless from what she's seen. Was this really the Dobi she knew? And what the hell was that technique? "Let's go, we don't have time," Naruto said. Naruko just dumbly nodded and followed him. Iruka arrived at the tower to see all of the lights were still turned off and the rooms completely empty. There were no Chunin or even Anbu stationed anywhere in the building. As he made his way to the Hokage's room, his confusion grew. There were a team of Chunin-level ninja lying on the ground outside the Hokage's room unconscious. Who could have done such a thing? He turned around a corner in the hallway and spotted the door open to the Hokage's room. And on the floor, bound, was an elderly man in a robe. It was none other than Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandame and previous Hokage. Iruka hurried forward and dropped onto the ground beside the Hokage. He saw that he was bound and gagged. After some time he finally managed to free the old man. He looked around the room to see it wrecked to a mild degree with papers lying about. "What happened here?" "Don't ask," snapped the third. "Listen, Naruto. I know, he and Naruko stole the forbidden scroll. Mizuki told me part of the militia were being organized to track them down. I don't understand why they didn't inform Yondaime-sama, but then again they are in search of." Hiruzen interrupted. "Mizuki told you that?" "Yes. Why, what's wrong?" "Don't worry about it. I heard from Naruto and Naruko's conversation that they were taking the scroll towards the training area near the entrance of the Forest of Death. Head there and intercept them quickly. This may have something to do with the kidnapping of Minato-kun's youngest daughter Natsumi." "Yes, Sandame-sama." With that, Iruka quickly left the room, carefully navigating through the bodies of unconscious ninja. "Let me go. Do you know who my daddy is? I'm sure he's on his way right now with an army of ninja to rescue." "Will you shut up, you little bitch? You've been yapping your gums this whole damn time. If your dumbass siblings weren't bringing that lovely scroll for me, then I would have killed you slowly and painfully long before." Mizuki had the girl in rope bind and seals as he held her over his shoulder by waist. The girl was struggling the entire time. Mizuki laughed. "Good thing I placed those restriction seals I received from Orochimaru-sama on Ya, or you would have been more trouble than you're worth. It's kind of funny how you're practically useless without that chakra, haha." The girl was on the verge of tears as she began to lose hope for help. As if on cue, a series of kunai came flying towards the silver-haired Chunin. He quickly dodged the barrage and positioned himself on another tree branch with the young Namikaze girl still over his shoulder, kicking in confusion. Naruko and Naruto appeared on an opposite branch, ready to engage their old Chunin instructor. "Mizuki-sensei. You?" "Yep, it's me, I'm the kidnapper, but enough about that." He paused as he gave a mock glance. "I see that you have the scroll with you." Naruto chuckled. "Yes, I have the scroll, but you're not getting it," he said. Both girls looked at Naruto with wide eyes. "What the hell are you talking about? We have to save Natsumi," yelled Naruko. "She's right, demon, give me the scroll, otherwise she dies," Mizuki said, gesturing to Natsumi. "Oh, she will?" Naruto asked. Mizuki glared at Naruto for a little while. Then Naruto sighed. "Well, this is getting boring, so yeah," Naruto said as he brought his right hand up and said, "Banshu Tenon." Effect was instantaneous as Natsumi flew out of Mizuki's hold straight to Naruko, who grabbed her. Everyone except Naruto was shocked. "What the fuck did you do, demon?" yelled Mizuki. Naruto chuckled. "You're not very intelligent, are you, Mizuki-sensei? I saved her, of course." Naruto saw Mizuki shift his stance, getting ready to fight, and he smiled, his Shin no Mi activated, 9 tones spinning lazily. "So you wish to dance?" Naruto asked. "But I am in no mood for dancing, so at least let me make the first steps," Naruto said as he once again extended his hand towards Mizuki. "Go fly. Shinra Tensei." Naruto said as Mizuki along with whole tree was sent flying. Natsumi and Naruto were wide-eyed from what they've seen. Was this really the Naruto? Naruto turned around and looked at his sisters. So, is she okay? Naruto smiled at him as she answered. Well, she seems so. Natsumi frowned at Naruto. Naru-chan, thanks for saving me, but what's dobi doi? Look out! Yelled Naruto as she shoved Natsumi to the side. She knew that there was no way she would be fast enough to dodge, so she closed her eyes and waited for pain. However, it never came. After a while she opened her eyes and what she saw was Naruto on his knees coughing blood because of giant shrunken in his back. Damn, I let my guard down, said Naruto between coughs. He looked to the side to see if Natsumi was alright. And she was. She, just like her sister, was staring wide-eyed at Naruto. He let out chuckle. Damn, Muoto, look what you did to your sister, you almost knocked her out. I thought you two were close. Anyway, now to take care of traitor, he said as he ripped the giant shuriken out of his back and coughed more blood. Mizuki laughed at young blonde. You, take care of me? You're barely even alive, what can you do? He asked with amusement clear in his voice. Naruto just stood there, still shocked, not knowing what to do. Natsumi moved next to Naruto, but just like her sister she was silent. Suddenly Naruto was covered in golden shroud of chakra, on his neck 6 Magatama appeared, in front his bangs taking appearance of 2 horns, his cloth swishing furiously as 9 giant chakra tails appeared behind him. Also 2 black sticks appeared in his hands at the same time as 9 black balls appeared behind him. Finally on his forehead formed a Rinnegan-like mark. With Kurami's chakra I'll be fine, but if I want to fight I have to reveal my 6 paths Sage Mode too, just to accelerate the healing process. Damn it, I can't believe idiot like Mizuki managed to reveal to so much. Naruto thought as he stood up, still facing his sisters, which meant his back was still turned towards Mizuki. Now, Naruto knew that was kind of risky, but he hoped Kurami-chan's power would intimidate him enough to freeze at least for a moment. He wanted Mizuki to see with his own 2 eyes. He wanted him to witness how quickly his injury healed so his morale would drop even more. Mizuki's eyes widened as the injury was healed in the matter of few seconds as Naruto turned around, his Shin no Mi activated. This is the Senjutsu of the 6 paths. The sticks and Gududama behind me are proof of how powerful it is, as it is Psychical manifestation of its power. However, that's not all. The chakra shroud and tails are not my power, nor it is power of the 6 paths. Naruto broke eye contact with Mizuki and looked at his sisters over his shoulder, who were staring at him wide-eyed. Watch closely. This is how you use Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto took a step forward and looked at Mizuki. I admit, I underestimated you the first time, however I won't make same mistake twice. That being said, you don't stand a chance either way. Right now I only posse's little bit of old man 6 paths power, however even that little bit of his power is more than enough to deal with you. He said as he crossed the 2 sticks together and one of the Gududama flew towards Mizuki at high speed. Mizuki didn't even have time to blink as the weird black sphere hit him hard in the chest and sent him flying screaming in pain. The Gududama returned to Naruto's side as he chuckled and said, "Whoops, sorry, I forgot, I promised to show you how to use Kyuubi's chakra. I hope you'll stand up again." And he did, and he was pissed. Mizuki stared at Naruto with hate in his eyes as blood dripped down his chin. "You fucking demon, I'll kill you with the power Orochimaru-sama gave me." As he activated his curse mark, slowly gaining a beastly look. The girls looked at the scene in awe. Was their brother always this powerful? This chakra was so huge, but it didn't feel evil at all. Was it truly Kyuubi's chakra? They were snapped out of their musing by a demonic-sounding roar coming from Mizuki. "I'll kill you demons," he yelled as Naruto shivered in fear by the predatory look on his face. "En Naruto wishish." Before she could finish she was interrupted by chuckling Naruto. "Don't worry, Muoto, he's drawing in natural energy, although it is kind of more evil. That beastly transformation is merely a bastardized version of Sage Mode. Now watch how to use Biju's chakra." As he said that 2 chakra hands came out of his shroud, at the same time the black sticks in his hand dissipated and reformed a 10th Gududama in the middle of previous 9 as he brought his 4 hands before him and little dark bluish orbs started forming in his hand. "Show mini Bijudama," he yelled as he ran at Mizuki and smashed the Bijudama in his gut. From Mizuki's point of view, he just appeared in front of Mizuki in yellow flash. Both girls had it same. Mizuki didn't even yell in pain as he was sent flying, and then the Bijudama exploded in massive fiery dome. Damn it, I went overboard again. Anko-chan told me not to use that move unless necessary, said Naruto as he stood in front of dead Mizuki. He went to Naruto and looked at her. You okay? He asked as his chakra shroud dissipated and two black sticks reappeared in his hands. And the girls were once again shocked. Wow, is that how to really use the chakra? But it's so much different than what Ka-san teaches us with Kyuubi's chakra. Come to think of it, how? We have the power sealed within us, how can he wield it? Perhaps Kyuubi regained K? They were cut off from their similar thoughts as their brother showed in front of them and asked something. What? Naruto asked as she watched Naruto's chakra shroud disappear and black sticks reform in his hands. I asked if you were okay, he asked as he brought the sticks together and they formed a shakuho. On one end it had incomplete circle that kind of resembled a crescent moon, while on the other end there was a circle with 5 smaller circles wrapped around it. Naruto watched in fascination as he leaned on it before she answered. Yeah, we are fine, thanks. And thanks for saving me too, she said as she looked at the 9 Gududama behind him. What are those weird black things? She asked curious. Naruto chuckled at her. I already screwed up and they've seen them, so it doesn't matter. He thought before answering, they are called Gududama and I can control both them and this shakuho in very similar way. As I said before to Mizuki Teme, both shakuho and the Gududama are manifestations of the sage mode of the 6 paths. He answered before he continued, but I bet you are more interested in the fact that I can use Kyuubi's chakra, right? Naruto nodded at her brother. Then let's go to my mindscape. He said. He touched both of his sisters' foreheads and suddenly they were in front of a waterfall. Girls looked around to see beautiful woods and animals running around. They also saw a house. Let's go meet Kyuubi, he said as he went towards the house. Girls simply followed as they entered a house. A beautiful girl around their age with cute fox ears on top of her head and 9 tails came out of kitchen to greet them. Naruto, seeing the 9 tails, immediately connected the dots as she yelled, Kyuubi. As she was getting ready to fight, Kyuubi looked amused as she continued to walk towards them. Natsumi now in fighting stance, ready to fight as well. Ignoring their antics, he walked towards Kurami. Hello Kurami-chan, he said as he gave her kiss, which she returned. Why hello Naruto-kun, why are the brats here? Naruto turned towards his sisters and said, this is Kurami-chan, or as you know her, the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Now then, we have lots to talk about, so let's not waste time. Naruto said as he and Kyuubi proceeded to explain everything to girls. Kyuubi not only explained how she trained Naruto and his abilities, but she also told them about his life, much to Naruto's annoyance. But with one swift glare, Naruto stayed silent and let her tell what she wanted. Wow, that's a lot to take in, said Naruto after everything was out. I'm sorry Naruto, she said. Ah, look, my adorable little sister actually called me by my name. We're becoming so close, said amused Naruto as Kurami giggled little. Shut up, idiot, yelled angrily Naruto as Naruto and Kurami both erupted in laughter. Soon both girls started laughing too. Oh, and by the way, said Kurami seriously, don't try to control my chakra unless you get rid of your inner hatred, otherwise you won't be able to use my chakra properly. That and the way you're doing it now is shortening your lifespan. Also, you won't be able to control more than 4 tails even if you get rid of your hatred. She explained while girls looked at her. What do you mean inner hatred? You'll have to find out yourself, just like Ruto-kun did. Girls groaned but thanked for a piece of advice nevertheless. Don't thank me, if it was up to me I would let both you get consumed by rage for what you did to Naruto, but he made it clear he doesn't want any harm to come to you too, so thank him. Oh, it seems Iruka found us. He's close and out there. My sage mode is still active and I don't want him to see it. We have to go, I'll see you later Kurami-chan. He gave a peck on lips before both him and girls disappeared from his mindscape. Wheel today was certainly fun, he said as Rinnegan-like mark on his forehead disappeared along with the Gududama and the Shakuho. Few seconds later Iruka dropped to the clearing. There you are, what the hell happened here? The next day, Naruto had woken up to Kurami yelling at him to wake up, causing him to jump out of bed and faceplant on the floor. What the fuck, Kurami-chan? He asked his tenant. Don't what the fuck me just cause you can't continue your hibernation, you're gonna be late to school. Get up and get ready, she said. Hibernation? I'm not a bear, you know? He replied before he suddenly became annoyed as Kurami's word hit him. Wait, did you say late to school? I'm late 90% of school, I don't see the big deal. I'm going back to sleep. It was true, most of the time Naruto was late. Previous day he was on time only because he was already awake and would be bored at home, so he decided to go to the academy sooner than normally. Well, for him anyway. Get up, dumbass, it's last day of the academy, today are the team placements, if you'll be late they may kick you out of team or replace you with someone else. Naruto, who was already lying in bed again with his eyes closed, groaned out of frustration. She's got a point. Damn, it looks like I've got no choice, he thought as he got up and went to the bathroom to do the morning ritual. Iruka-sensei will chew me out again if I'm late, won't he? He asked, getting a response from Redhead. I like him, but seriously, it is just stupid academy, no need to take it that seriously. When he came out he was in his black attire wearing same white cloak with symbol of Konoha on the back. He looked at the clock. See, Ruto-kun, you're late already. He was late indeed. He activated his Shin no Mi and teleported to the marker he had near the academy. The academy. Okay students, today you are officially genin. Because this is the lowest level, you will be assigned to a 3-man team under a Jonin sensei. Now remember to work as a team, said Iruka as he started to read out the teams from 1 to 6. Team 7 consists of Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, Natsumi Uzumaki Namikaze. With that, most of the boys were thinking, me. Please let it be me, but alas, it wasn't meant to be, and Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. And just like that everyone deflated, under Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze. Sensei, why does Naruto have to be on their team? He is just going to get in the way. I would be a lot better choice, whined Kiba, hoping to get on the team with the Namikaze girls. So, I'd be in the way? A voice said, causing everyone to look up, towards the voice. Many girls started drooling, including Ino. Naruto may have been a dead last, but a hot one. Well, that's what she thought. Naruto dropped down on the floor, landing on his feet and going to his usual seat. On his way he noted two strange things. First, everyone was staring at him. He was usually ignored, so this was new to him. He didn't care though, so he dismissed it. Second, when he looked at his sisters, they didn't aim a cold glare his way. When did you get here, idiot? Demanded Sakura. How did you do that? Asked Sasuke, getting everyone's but Naruto's attention. Naruto was knocked out of his musing by someone's voice. He stopped and turned around to see both Sakura and Sasuke looking at him. Expression on their faces clearly read, I'm awaiting an answer, loser, and Naruto, being prankster and easygoing person he was, decided that it was time to lighten up the mood a little bit. You said something? He asked, getting a few chuckles and scowls from Sakura and Sasuke. He turned around and went to his seat. When he sat down he heard Naruto's voice. You're late again, Dobi. She said. Naruto turned around with chuckle escaping his mouth as he looked at her. Were you worried about me? We really are becoming close, aren't we? He asked, amusement clear in his voice. What? No, I was just saying that you almost lost your chance to become ninja like the Dobi you're, she said angrily. Naruto was about to retort when the door flew open and revealed Kushina. Team 7 meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. She said cheerfully as she then disappeared in the swirl of leaves. What the hell? Was one common thought in whole classroom. Naruto didn't waste time as he really didn't care about other teams. He just got permission to leave, so he left in the swirl of fire. Natsumi and Naruto glanced at each other before they both shrugged and ran out of classroom. Since when can the Dobi do that? Sasuke broke the silence, fuming with anger. He got bested by nobody. He, Uchiha Elite. Nobody answered as they were wondering the same thing. Well anyway, said Iruka, let's continue with team placements. The academy roof. Okay, you'll all introduce yourselves. Likes, dislikes, hobbies and dreams. I'll go first, said Kushina as she looked at her children. I like my family, I dislike bad people. My hobbies are spending time with my family and my dreams have already been fulfilled when I got married and have children. She said. She dislikes bad people? What is she 5? Thought Naruto. Kushina pointed at Natsumi and said, you're next. My name is Natsumi Uzumaki Namikaze. I like my family. I dislike those who threaten my family. My hobbies are training and my dream is to become Hokage one day. she said. Kushina nodded at her daughter as she pointed at her second daughter. Your turn, she said. My name is Naruto, I like dango in my family, I dislike perverts, my hobby is training, my dream is to surpass you, she said as she pointed at her mother. Kushina looked at her for a little while and then she smiled at her. Naruto-kun, my name's Naruto, I like ramen and my precious people. I dislike rapist and judgmental idiots. My hobby is pranking, and my dream is to succeed the Rikudo Sennin, said Naruto. You do know he was probably just a myth, right? Asked Kushina. Never thought I'd hear that coming from an Uzumaki. After all, we are his descendants. Oh well, believe what you will. He told him that Rikudo was basically her father and that she was created by him. He knew he was no myth. I still don't see what's the point of introduction, we already know each other. Naruto said. What's the point of coming here? The real test, answered Kushina. Follow me, she said as she turned around, but she heard a voice. What do you mean the real test? We already passed the exam, right? Said Natsumi. That was just to weed out those that don't have potential as shinobi. The real test starts now, answered Kushina before she leapt from the rooftop and went to the empty training ground. Triplets following her. When they arrived to training ground 7, they dropped in the clearing. Kushina brought out 2 bells and strapped them to her waist. You've got 3 hours to get the bells. The one that doesn't get bell fails and will be sent back to the academy. Simple, right? She said. Naruto could sense a lie in what she said. Kurami's negative emotion sense caught it. He started thinking over it and soon he figured it out. So only 2 of us can pass? Asked Naruto. Kushina didn't answer. She just looked at her daughter before she said, okay, let's begin. Start, she said as Naruto and Natsumi leapt to the woods hiding. Kushina looked at Naruto, who just stood there. Shouldn't you hide too? She asked. Much to her surprise, Naruto shook his head and said, I've already figured it out. We either failed together or we passed together. This is about teamwork, said Naruto, shocking Kushina at how quickly he figured it out. I would tell them, but that would be kind of cheating since they are supposed to figure it out themselves. Until they figure it out, I'm just going to dance with you, he said before he shifted to his fighting stance. Kushina saw this and too got ready to fight. You think you can take me alone? She asked with small grin on her face. She wanted to see what he was capable of. Naruto didn't answer, instead he just ran towards his mother with mid-Junin speed. Kushina was surprised how fast he moved, but she managed to dodge Naruto's strikes with relative ease. Naruto wasn't really fighting seriously, but he got so absorbed into trying to hit Kushina and dodging her strikes he didn't even notice they were gaining speed. By now both of them were using cage-level speed when both of them threw punch at each other's face but caught it with other arm. They both jumped back and looked at each other. He was supposed to be the dead last and yet I actually have to fight him seriously. When did he acquire such skills? How did I miss it? Kushina was torn between being happy for her son or being sad she didn't even know he was this good. At the same time Naruto was just standing there waiting for his mother to make move, but she was taking too long and he was getting bored so he decided to act. Well, since you aren't taking any steps. Suiryuden no Jutsu, he said as a giant water dragon formed behind him from the water particles in air and went straight for Kushina. If Kushina wasn't shocked before, she definitely was now. Such strong water affinity, to do high-rank water jutsu with just one hand sign and without any water. She thought as she threw couple shurikens at Naruto who simply dodged them. Suddenly chains erupted from his mother's back and went for him. Those are going to be pain to deal with, he thought as he dodged first few chains, but he knew eventually he would be caught so he decided to do something else. As next chain went for him he made one-handed hand sign as he ducked and placed other hand on the ground. Doden. Doryuheki, he said as walls suddenly rose from ground in front of him. The chain flew straight into it but didn't went through. Naruto jumped on top of wall and threw couple of his own shurikens at his mother. Shuriken Kage Bunshin, he said as suddenly instead of 2 there were 50 shurikens flying at Kushina who was forced to jump away. She made couple of hand signs before calling out her jutsu. Suiryuden no Jutsu, said Kushina as she landed beside a small pond. Water in the pond immediately took appearance of dragon and went for Naruto. Kushina grinned when the water dragon hit Naruto. Her grin disappeared when Naruto on top of wall puffed out of existence. When did he? The wall, she thought as she looked for Naruto. She turned around when she felt something was wrong and all she saw was Naruto's foot before she got hit. Naruto grinned when he kicked her in the face. I really don't hate her, but that was fucking satisfying. That all you got? Naruto taunted. In the trees near the fight were Natsumi and Naruto looking at fight. They've already seen what Naruto is capable of, but it was still amazing to see he was able to fight toe-to-toe with their mother, someone both girls wanted to surpass. They couldn't understand why Naruto would want to keep his abilities secret, but since he pretty much saved their lives they agreed to keep it a secret. I still can't believe they actually thought that story was true. Both girls thought when they remembered what Naruto said that night when asked about Mizuki. Naruto said that Mizuki used bunch of exploding tags and blew himself up on accident. Or at least what he thought was a accident. They looked on as Kushina spit blood from her mouth. When she looked up at Naruto she had huge grin on her face. She was using less than 40% of her actual power, but it was still amazing that her son was able to keep up. That would put him on low Junin level. Kushina being cage level Kunoichi, the only ones from Konoha that could defeat her were Minato, Hiruzen and the Sannin. I'm just starting Naruto-kun, she said as her huge grin somehow got even bigger and Naruto could swear he could see small stars in her eyes. This is getting exciting. This is our chance, both girls thought as they looked at each other and nodded. Naruto threw few kunais towards Kushina who jumped back. Hey, I actually forgot about those two for a second. Good thing I didn't let my guard down, she thought as she dodged kick from Natsumi. She was about to counter-attack, but another set of kunais flying towards her forced her to retreat. She looked for Naruto but she couldn't find him, though she knew he was watching. She looked at Natsumi and Naruto who now stood beside her sister. It seems the girls have figured it out. Both Naruto and Kushina thought. But I still want to finish our dance fight. Not knowing they were thinking the same thing. Red chakra started to cover both girls. Then one after one 3 tails sprouted from their chakra cloak. Kushina seeing this shifted into fighting stance. Show me what you got, she said. Naruto launched forward intending to punch her mother, but Kushina sidestepped and kicked her, sending her flying into the woods. She then moved to the side, barely evading Natsumi's punch. Kushina grabbed her daughter's arm as she kneed her in the stomach. Kushina jumped as she went through hand signs. Demonic art. Hell viewing technique. Natsumi fell on the ground and Kushina disappeared into the forest looking for Naruto. Natsumi woke up to the sight of her siblings both on the ground, their bodies unmoving. Naruto's eyes opened and looked at Natsumi. Run Natsumi-chan, she said. Natsumi was freaked out, trying to figure out what happened. She was trying to become genin and she passed out while fighting her mother. Then she sensed some kind of disturbance in chakra and that's when it clicked. Genjutsu, she thought before doing hand sign, Kai. She said as everything went blurry then she found herself at the same place she fought her mother. Where is everyone? She thought as she was jumping the forest looking for someone. I have to find Natsumi otherwise I'm screwed. Thought Naruto as she was jumping from tree to tree. She looked ahead and she saw Natsumi coming towards her. Naru-chan, are you okay? She asked when she saw her sister. Yeah, I'm fine, but I don't know where Ka-chan is. As if on cue few chains appeared. I'm right here, said Kushina with grin. Girls looked down and indeed there on the ground stood Kushina with predatory look on her face. Girls immediately ran while dodging their mother's chakra chains. They could use the Uzumaki chakra chains too, but compared to Kushina their chains were weak and they had hard time controlling them, so they decided to run. They came into clearing and stopped. Few seconds later Kushina appeared. Well, it seems this exam will end in the same place it started, said second Kushina, which appeared behind girls. Cage Bunshin, they thought. They also noticed that indeed they were in the same clearing they started their test. You did good Naruto-chan, Natsumi-chan, said the third Kushina. Girls looked at her and asked, what do you mean? Kushina just smiled and said, this. As the 2 Kushina clones sent chakra for girls, wrapping them in chains. Unable to move, girls looked at their mother. How did your chains get so fast? They were always this fast, answered Kushina. Suddenly Naruto appeared in the clearing. How much time do we have left? He asked. 2 minutes. If you didn't get the bells in 2 hours I doubt you wi. She didn't get to finish because Naruto interrupted. 2 minutes is more than enough time, he said as he brought out few smoke bombs from his pouch. Kushina got into the stance awaiting his next move. Naruto dropped the smoke bombs under his feet and was enveloped in smoke. He activated his Rinnegan, outstretched his hand and whispered, "Banshu Tenon." Kushina didn't even notice that the bells were detached from her hips and fell on the ground as 3 Narutos came out of smoke. First threw shurikens at her which she dodged, but the clones then ran at Kushina fighting her and forcing her back. The third, original Naruto stopped at the spot his mother stood previously and took the bells. Kushina was surprised when all of the sudden the 2 clones puffed out of existence, leaving only original Naruto, who had the bells in his hand. She looked down and she noticed that she didn't have her bells. When did he? How did he? Her train of thought was interrupted when Naruto started talking. "I will give both bells away to Natsumi and Naruto, meaning I sacrifice myself for the team," he said as he gave them bells. Kushina dismissed her clones seeing that test was over. "We all pass, right?" asked Naruto. "Yes, you pass. But I have to ask, how did you get the bells?" asked Kushina, still trying to figure out how did the bells end with Naruto. "You dropped them. I just picked them from the ground. The smoke was just distraction. Also, it would be easier to move you from your original spot if you didn't see what I was doing. And when you were dealing with the clones, I just picked them up," he said. He forgot to mention that the reason she dropped her bells was his gravity technique. "He's hiding something. Whatever he did in that smoke, I'm sure that's when my bells fell. It felt like some unknown force was pulling me. Though it was only for the second and it was weak, I could feel it." Instead of voicing her thought, she smiled at Naruto. "I see, that was smart," she said. "Okay, from now on you are officially Team 7. Our first mission is tomorrow, so make sure you're well rested," Kushina said. Right after that, Naruto disappeared in the swirl of fire. "Let's just go home," said tired Natsumi. Naruto nodded her head, she needed to relax. Kushina sighed. "Fine, let's go. Lately I'm worried about him," she said. "He seems to be distancing himself from us. But don't worry, me and Minato-kun will figure something out." The girls looked at their mother. "Lately? He's been like that for years now and you notice it now?" thought the girls. Neither Natsumi nor Naruto voiced that thought though. It would open the door for a long conversation and they were too tired. Minato sat in his office, looking at the Jonins in front of him. Today was the day. They decided whether or not the teams will become genin. Surprisingly, even Kushina just stood there silently, not being her hyperactive self. Something serious must have happened, for her to be like that. Everyone in the room thought. "Alright then everyone, it's time for your report on the genin test." Aoba started. Team 1 failed. All of the teams failed, until it was Kushina's turn. Team 7 passed, she said with smile. Kurami glanced at Kushina, who was one of 2 people that have never passed a team. With all the cheery stuff, it was kinda hard for her to image Kushina not passing everyone, but when she heard gasp from others, she believed it was true. "I'm not the only one changing traditions this time around?" asked Kakashi. Asuma watched his friend Kakashi with interest. He never thought that Kakashi will ever pass a team, but it seems that he was wrong. As the matter of fact, Kakashi said so himself, and not only that but apparently Kushina too. Minato was actually surprised. Kushina passing team is one thing as he was expecting it, but Kakashi passing his team as well. "Very well, next," as he nodded at Kakashi. Team 8 passed. Kurami stated. Team 10 is also passed. Asuma said. "Hokage-sama?" Kushina asked in her ninja mode, completely serious. Minato nodded. "Is there something you need?" "Actually yes there is. It's about Naruto," Minato noted while everyone else straightened up. Just by the look on her face they were sure this is what made her so serious. "Is there something you can report about Naruto?" Minato asked. Kushina nodded. "He definitely isn't genin," said Kushina. Minato raised his left eyebrow. "If he isn't capable of being genin, then why did you let him pass?" Kushina shook her head no, as if saying, "That's not it," and tried again, realizing how her words sounded and could have been taken. "Naruto definitely isn't genin," she said once again firmly, before continuing, "He is high chunin, maybe even low jonin. I didn't fight him using all of my power, but I actually had to be serious." Everyone was now looking at Kushina like she grew second head. After all, she was talking about the dead last, right? Please do tell," said Minato, curious where this was going. "From what I can see, he is calculative and calm during battle. He has high affinity for water. To the point where he performed high-rank water jutsu without any water around him and with just one hand sign. He also developed earth affinity. Als, Kushina continued before being interrupted. Wasn't he the dead last? Asked Kuranai, Kakashi and Asuma nodding in agreement. Even Minato had hard time believing it. Kushina glared at Kuranai for interrupting her. He was. Kushina stated, or maybe it was just an act. Doesn't matter, now where was I? Ah yes. He also has incredible low cage level speed, maybe mid cage, but I am leaning towards low cage little bit more. Overall, I would say he is high a class shinobi. I see, is there anything else? Minato asked. No, that's all. Kushina said, choosing to leave out the smoke bomb incident and the mysterious pull she felt during their test, since she herself did not understand what was going on and it could be just her imagination. Minato nodded and gave a sign for the Junin. Dismissed, he said as they all left, and he closed his eyes. No use thinking about it. He opened his eyes after few seconds and took a peek at his table and a stack of paperwork already there. So much, he said, feeling dread overcoming him at the mountain of papers. 1 week later, Naruto and his team just returned from their mission. Team 7 loved this particular mission, while everybody else hated it. The mission was, capture Tora the cat, and all Naruto had to do was walk up to it and pick it up. Just like that. Easy money. Naruto though liked this mission for different reason. Actually he likes all D ranks. His reason was simple. Instead of going himself he could just create a shadow clone, and with idiotic missions like that it wouldn't be dispelled, meaning he could sleep in or train. Now they were in the assignment room and poor Demon Cat had her life almost squeezed out of her by Daimyo's wife. Miss, Naruto started. Maybe if you gave her some snacks she wouldn't run. Or maybe, just maybe, if you weren't trying to squeeze her to death she would stop. Naruto said with smile on his face, as if pointing out obvious to a little child, even though a "what the fuck" in his voice was obvious. To everybody's surprise the woman didn't even acknowledge him and just walked off. We have finished our mission and we came to request another one, stated Kushina. Yeah, and make it a C rank while you're at it too, San, exclaimed Naruto. Natsumi pitched in as well. Yeah, these D ranks are getting ridiculous. Naruto for his part stayed silent since it would work for him either way. Iruka didn't like the way things were going, so he responded. You've only been shinobi 1 week, you're not ready for harder missions. This time Naruto intercepted. You are right, he said calmly. We are only shinobi for 1 week and yet we've already done the required number of missions to be enough for our first C. It seems Naruto's right. Team 7 has completed 62 missions, Minato said looking at some papers, and required amount is 50. But Hokage-sama, are you sure they are quite ready? Iruka asked with a concerned tone. Hokage just nodded. Yes, I believe that is right. After all it's only a C rank and Kushina is with them. If you say so. Iruka just accepted it quietly, until a knock from the door came. Come in, Hokage ordered. Door opened and man with straw hat and simple civilian clothes walked in. He held a bottle of sake as he looked at Team 7. Is this my escort team? 3 brats and a woman? He asked. Who are you calling brat, you old drunk? Exclaimed Natsumi as she jumped and the old man trying to punch him. Trying being the key word. As she came close her hand was stopped by someone else. She looked at owner and saw Naruto. Now killing the client before the mission even starts wouldn't be very beneficial for the village Imuoto, he said with chuckle. Tazuna looked at Naruto, then he looked at Natsumi. And who are you calling drunk? My name is Tazuna, the master bridge builder. Naruto chuckled. You have nothing to worry about, Tazuna-san, he said. Well, if you say so, meet me at the gate in 3 hours. We need to get there fast. With that he left. Kushina looked at the door for a while, then she looked at Minato. Well, it seems we will begin our mission soon. She mused out loud. With that said, Naruto walked out and went to Ichiraku for some ramen, and he also wanted to spend some time with Ayame, while the girls were excited about their first C rank and went home with Kushina to get ready for mission. 3 hours later at the main gate, Naruto was walking through the village to the gate. He looked impassive on the outside, but on the inside he was excited. His first mission outside the village. He was excited about the new challenges, people he would meet, and just seeing the world. He was also excited because his first mission was in Wave and there just so happened to be a certain island that Naruto wanted to check out. As he reached the gate he realized he was late. His teammates along with Tazuna stood in front of the gate waiting for him. There was this old lady that need my help to cross the street and on my way here I saw a black cat so I had to turn around and take the long way around the village. Naruto said with an innocent smile, making his team and Tazuna sweat drop. At the same time Kakashi stood in the assignment room with his team when he suddenly dropped down on his knees and started crying anime tears, constantly saying, "Someone is idolizing me. Alright then let's go, we move at diamond formation, I am going to take up the rear. Natsumi you take the left, Naruto you take the right while Naruto you take the front." Kushina ordered. With that all of them walked to Nami no Kuni. On the way, Natsumi asked if there are ninja there, but instead of Tazuna it was Kushina who explained it. After the explanation was over the team walked in the silence for a little while until they saw a small puddle. It hasn't rained for quite the time, thought Naruto, before activating his Sharingan, 3 tomos spinning lazily in his eyes, and he looked at the puddle, immediately seeing through the genjutsu. He stopped the chakra flow to his eyes as he turned around to look at his mother, who gave him a subtle shake of a head as if saying, "Don't do anything yet." He then looked at Natsumi who was acting normally except he could tell she was stiff. Naruto on the other hand seemed confused. She looked like she knew something was coming, but she just couldn't figure out what it was. When they passed the puddle, 2 masked, chain-wielding ninja emerged from the water and went for Kushina. Kushina dropped to the floor and 2 masked individuals went straight for Tazuna ignoring the fact that the girls were in their way. "Ka-san!" yelled Naruto worried about her mother. Natsumi stood in front of Tazuna, but she seemed nervous, as if she was frozen on her spot from what she just witnessed. Naruto didn't waste time when he saw the masked individuals were about to attack Tazuna and Natsumi. Naruto appeared in front of Natsumi, throwing 2 kunais at each attacker. Masked individuals both dodged effortlessly and threw their chains at young Jinchuriki. Seeing this Naruto made one hand seal and touched the ground with his free hand as he called out, "Doden! Doryuheki!" he said, and at the same time a mud wall emerged from the ground in front of him. Naruto made a clone of himself and the moment the chains hit the wall both clone Naruto and original shot towards their opponents at cage-level speed and punched them in the face with chakra-enhanced punch sending them flying, both of them hitting the tree. 2 blondes then made hand seal and took deep breath. "Sweden! Swegondan!" both clones exclaimed at the same time as both started spitting water bullets at their respective targets. When the duo stopped spitting bullets, they saw both of their assailants unconscious. The clone dispelled itself and the original took some ninja rope and tied them to the tree. "You know, you could have helped any time," Naruto suddenly said seemingly to no one. Then Kushina showed up with cheery smile on her face as she said, "Well, I wanted to see if you could handle yourselves without me." 2 girls that had been staring at the masked men with cold eyes, suddenly whirled around when they heard their mother's voice. "Ka-chan?" Naruto and Natsumi both exclaimed. "You are okay?" said Natsumi. Kushina just pointed behind the girls where her corpse used to be only for girls to find skewered logs. "You didn't think it was that easy to get rid of me, did you?" She smirked. "Anyway," Naruto cut in, "you know those 2? He said as he pointed at 2 now conscious mask-wearing ninjas. Gozu and Maizu, also known as the Demon Brothers, both Chunin level, Kiri Nuke Nin, known for working with Zabuza, the Demon of the Mist on quite a few occasions. Said Kushina as she turned to regard the Demon Brothers. "What do we owe the pleasure of meeting you here?" said Kushina with a smile that promised pain. Gozu snorted at Kushina. "I'd rather die than tell you," he said. "Is that so?" Naruto cut in with small chuckle. "I can get whatever info we need, but they'll probably die." "That is if they don't start talking like right now," Naruto said to Kushina. "Just give me 2 minutes with them alone," he said as he turned to Gozu and Maizu. He felt a hand on his shoulder. Looking back he found his mother looking at him. "If they talk, let them live," she said sternly. Naruto frowned at her. "Don't misunderstand what I was saying. The technique I have will allow me to get the information we need since we cannot be sure from just that little exchange a little while ago, but it will kill them in return. That's why I said that if they don't start talking right now they will die." With that Naruto turned around and regarded the Demon Brothers. "Now listen closely you 2. Even if you won't talk I can get the information I need from you so you will just die in vain," he said in serious manner, slowly walking towards the 2. 2 minutes. He heard Kushina's voice. Come on girls, Tazuna-san, let's leave them alone for a little while. He turned around to see Kushina looking at him with sad, worried eyes, rubbing the back of her shoulder. When she turned around he could see a slight glow coming from the spot she just rubbed, before it disappeared. Naruto narrowed his eyes a little. He noticed his mother rubbing that particular spot a lot lately, but this was the first time he noticed a glow. He didn't dwell on it, instead he just put it on the back of his mind for later thought and turned to Demon Brothers. So, he said calmly, here's the deal. If you start talking I will let you live, if you won't I will simply take the information I need and you will die needlessly. I will only ask this once. Are you going to talk? He asked simply. No. Your bluffs won't work on us, said Maizu. Yeah, you just want to scare us to reveal some informations. Well that's not happening, said Gozu. Naruto sighed. Whoever said I was bluffing? He said as he activated Rinnegan. The Demon Brothers gasped when they saw the legendary Dujutsu. The Rinnegan has amazing powers, and tearing out my opponent's souls and gaining their memories is one of them. He said as he placed his hand on top of Gozu's head and muttered, Ningendu. Naruto slowly started removing his hand from Gozu's head and Maizu's eyes grew wide when he saw something akin to screaming soul come out of Gozu. Then Naruto yanked his hand high up and tore the soul out, absorbing the memories of the masked nin. He turned to a horrified-looking Maizu and said, Your turn Maizu. Naruto said and Maizu's eyes grew wide. This kid wasn't bluffing. He could actually take what he wanted from the beginning. When Maizu realized this he quickly started talking. No point in dying if the info gets out anyway. We hired by G. Gato, Naruto interrupted. Don't bother anymore, I can't let you live. The moment you saw my eyes you were dead. I can't let the information like that out. He said as he placed his hand on top of Maizu's head. With another mutter of, Ningendu, Naruto ripped out Maizu's soul and absorbed its memories. Rest in peace, he said as he closed his eyes and paid his respects. After a minute he turned around and walked back to his team. When he came there he directed Ki at Tazuna who almost pissed his pants. Tazuna-san, care to explain to my teammates why are B-rank nuke nin trying to kill you, when we are supposed to be protecting you from bandits considering that this is a C rank? Kushina nodded. Naruto is right, this mission wasn't supposed to involve protection from other ninja. This mission has now become an A rank. Team of fresh genin has no business handling such mission. Tell us the truth now. Kushina said, releasing her own ki at Tazuna who was sweating. He thought about it for a little bit, before he decided to tell them the truth. Our country doesn't have enough money for such a high-ranking mission. So instead I lied about it being bandits and paid for a C rank. Gato hired these ninja because he wants to stop the bridge from being built. Kushina seemed to be thinking, well, considering this is dangerous mission and all of you guys are genin, I say we return to the village. What about you guys? What do you think? Naruto was the first to answer. I say we continue. If we just abandoned a client in the middle of the mission, won't it be bad reputation for Konoha? Besides, it would not sit well with me. Both Natsumi and Naruto nodded. For once I agree with the Dobi. They said in unison. Well, if you guys say so, I guess that is agreeable. I will be sending some of my summons back to village, to inform them of the current situation. Minute later Kushina came back to the group. Since that has been taken care of we go, she said in her usual cheery manner. Nami no Kuni. After the continuation of the mission and its change from C to A rank, Team 7 found themselves in the diamond formation once again as they arrived to Nami no Kuni. It was rather foggy, but somehow no one seemed to notice. Suddenly Naruto took out kunai and threw it into one of the nearby bushes. What are you doing? Natsumi asked. Naruto didn't answer as he slowly came towards the bush, to see what he hit. When he came close a white rabbit ran out of bush. Surprised Naruto scooped the rabbit up in her arms. What the hell are you doing? You almost killed him, idiot. Naruto said, but when she saw the serious expression on Naruto's face, she started looking around, then she heard a whirling sound. Look out. Everybody on the ground. Kushina yelled, tackling Tazuna and Natsumi with her, while Naruto tackled Naruto. Everybody stood up and turned around to see a giant cleaver-like sword embedded in the tree. On the sword in front of them stood a masculine man with pale skin, short spiky black hair, brown eyes and small eyebrows. He was wearing bandages over the bottom half of his face. He wore his hite-8 sideways on his head. He was shirtless, wearing baggy pants with stripped pattern. Kushina looked at him, then at his sword which she recognized as the Kabikira Bocho. She stood in front of everybody protectively. Aka no shi, Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, no wonder the demon brothers failed. The man said, Zabuza, the demon of the mist, a ranked missing nin of Kirigakure no Sato. I am truly sorry to disappoint you, but I am not the one who defeated them. My cute little genin took care of them. Zabuza snorted in disbelief. Those brats over there wouldn't stand a chance against the demon brothers by themselves. Don't make me laugh, Zabuza Momochi, Naruto said calmly as he stood next to Kushina. He looked at her and continued. Go ahead, he's all yours. I'll watch them, he said slowly backing up as he stopped in front of the girls and Tazuna. Kushina looked at him out of corner of her eye, as if studying him. After a little while she sighed and faced Zabuza. Naruto, Natsumi, Naruto guard Tazuna. I will take care of this. Despite the fact that Natsumi hated to be left out, she complied knowing that she stood no chance against Zabuza. Naruto simply nodded her head. Zabuza looked at Naruto, who was calmly watching him. Zabuza smirked under his mask. It seems that you've got some guts, boy, but still. He rushed towards Kushina, who was just standing still in one place. After I deal with her, you guys are next. Zabuza finished his sentence. Zabuza was already smirking in victory, but that smirk didn't last long, when suddenly chains exploded from Kushina's back, holding the sword off. Then suddenly chains yanked him forward, only for him to meet face to fist with Kushina. He was sent flying through the air and landed on the river. He stood up and started forming hand seals. Ninpo. Kirigakure no Jutsu. As mist around them started to become thicker and thicker. Back with Tazuna's group, Naruto moved to stand in front of Tazuna, activating his Shin no Mi, seeing through mist easily now. Natsumi and Naruto both standing at his sides. He looked around, but he couldn't find Zabuza. He then heard Zabuza's voice behind him. It's over, he said as Naruto whirled around to see Zabuza standing behind Tazuna, his sword positioned for a downward swing. Naruto, seeing this, quickly used Shinpo to teleport in front of Tazuna, his hand automatically moving to his left wrist, pumping little bit of chakra into the seal that resided there. With a puff of smoke, a normal-looking sword appeared in his hand as he swung upwards, meeting with Zabuza's blade, stopping him. As the swords clashed, Kushina whirled around. She realized that Zabuza went after Tazuna instead of her and quickly went towards the general direction of the sound since she couldn't see anything. The girls and Tazuna spun quickly but only saw Naruto with sword in his hand holding back a huge sword and a silhouette of another person, which they assumed was Zabuza. Both girls moved to charge in, but couldn't do anything because suddenly Naruto's legs shot out, kicking Zabuza, who then exploded to water, revealing him to be a water clone. At that moment the mist started receding, and Naruto could hear someone arriving behind them. Naruto quickly turned off his dujutsu and turned around. When he did, he saw a relieved face of one Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze. Thank God you guys are alright, she said, but then she frowned as she continued. Damn, he pulled a Foz. She stopped talking when she noticed the sword in Naruto's hands. Where did that sword come from? She asked. Naruto sighed as he pulled up his sleeve, showing a storage seal. From here, and now is not the time, he said as he pointed behind her. Zabuza then appeared in the same spot and Kushina whirled around looking straight into his eyes. You are pretty good, Gaki, Zabuza started, though, I don't know how did you make it so fast. Still, you seem to know what you're doing with that sword of yours, even though it seems pretty lame, he said. Naruto frowned as he started walking forwards. He held his sword holding hand out. Sword was now pointed straight down as he walked past Tazuna and the group. First of all, he said with cold voice, her name is Kyoka Suigetsu, he said, and everyone was looking at the sword curiously. And I would like it if you would refrain yourself from referring to her as an it. And also while we are at it, she is not a sword, but a Zanpakuto, a soul slayer. As for her being special, shatter, Kyoka Suigetsu, he said as suddenly the sound of glass breaking was heard and everyone saw cracks appear in their vision until it broke completely and everyone was looking at Naruto confused as he continued talking. Her ability is called Kanzen Seimin, complete hypnosis. It can make you perceive an ant as elephant or swamp as a field or flowers. Kyoka Suigetsu's Kanzen Seimin can manipulate all 5 senses. The only requirement is that you look at her once-released state once. After that I can activate Kanzen Seimin anytime I wish. He said, frown already replaced with grin. With that everyone's eyes widened when they realized that all of them gazed at the sword. Meaning they could already be in an illusion, though Kushina was already thinking that it's just a simple genjutsu, nothing that can't be easily dispelled. So, a genjutsu, huh? Zabuza said, not really worried, as he made a hand sign and said, Kai. He then grinned and looked at Naruto. Let's go, Gaki, he said as they both ran towards each other. Meanwhile Kushina pushed her chakra into Tazuna, dispersing genjutsu upon him as she did the same for herself. Girls also did the same as they watched the battle. It looked like Naruto was being pushed back by Zabuza. Then they ended up on the water and Naruto jumped away from Zabuza, making room between them. Zabuza started doing some hand seals, but he quickly noticed that Naruto was doing exactly the same ones. Then, Zabuza suddenly froze, when he noticed he could see himself standing behind Naruto. Suiden. Suiryuden no Jutsu. Naruto exclaimed as huge water dragon formed next to him and went straight for Zabuza. By the time Zabuza realized what was happening, he had no time at all to dodge. The dragon hit Zabuza and continued until it hit the tree, dispersing. Zabuza looked like he was half dead when Naruto appeared in front of him. Kyoka Suigetsu's complete hypnosis is perfect. Even if you realize you're caught in an illusion, there is nothing you can do to break out of it. Naruto said with a matter-of-fact tone. I wouldn't tell you her ability if all it took break out is few hand signs. In fact, as far as I know, it's impossible to break it by anyone else but me. Shatter, Kyoka Suigetsu, Naruto said as he let the sword go. Suddenly, cracks started appearing in front of everyone's vision and Zabuza and Naruto weren't on the water anymore. Instead, they were near the spot they first started fighting. Zabuza grunted as he tried to stand up, but 3 senbon hit him to the neck. Suddenly, a hunter nin appeared in front of them. I've been hunting him for quite some time, thank you Shinobi-san, said the masked girl. No problem, Naruto answered simply. I am afraid I must leave. Hunter nin crouched down, took Zabuza and disappeared, excusing herself. Naruto picked up Kyoka Suigetsu, turned around and started walking back towards Tazuna and others. He resealed the sword and looked at Tazuna. Tazuna-san, please lead the way. Naruto gestured to Tazuna, who dumbstruck and regained his composure but still stuttering. All right, Tazuna said. The rest of the road was mostly quiet, but after a while Kushina decided to break it. So, this soul slayer of yours, how long do you have it? Naruto looked at her, then he looked at the rest of the group and saw that their attention was on him. He sighed and decided to just answer. Few years. Nami no Kuni. When Naruto and the group reached Tazuna's house, they were greeted by his daughter. Tu-san, I'm so glad you're okay, she said as she hugged him. She then turned towards the group of ninja and said, Hello, my name is Tsunami. Thank you for keeping my father safe, she said as she bowed. No need for that, after all it's our job, said Naruto as he stepped forward and extended his hand. My name is Naruto, pleased to meet you, he said with smile on his face. She shook his hand and smiled. My name is Naruko Namikaze, said Naruko, then she pointed at Natsumi and Kushina as she said, That's my sister Natsumi and our mother Kushina. At this Kushina stepped forward. I am pleased to meet you Tsunami-san, she said with small smile. Tsunami returned the smile and shook Kushina's hand. Welcome to our house. You must be tired. I'll make sure the guest rooms are ready. Thank you, Kushina said nodding. We should go to sleep. You know it's not over. Tomorrow you need to train, Naruto said. Wait, what? Didn't you just defeat Zabuza? Asked Natsumi, Naruko nodding her head. Yeah, what are you talking about? Naruto looked at them seriously as he said, the hunter nin was his accomplice. Zabuza is alive and he will come after us again. At this Tsunami, who was leaving to get the rooms ready, whirled around, worried for her father's safety, only to notice that everybody was staring at Naruto. What the hell are you talking about? The hunter nin took him away, and she exactly. Naruto interrupted Natsumi's speech. She took his body. If she was the real thing, she would have cut off his head and destroy the rest of his body. It's standard procedure for hunter nins. Kushina decided to cut in. He is right. Hunter nin would destroy his body so someone from other village wouldn't find out the secrets of his body. I am surprised you figured that out, Naruto. I was hoping to train you without putting the stress of this whole Zabuza thing on your shoulders, but apparently that's not happening. Tomorrow I'll train the three of you. I do not need, nor do I want your training Kushina. Zabuza should be up in about a week, so you've got week to train them. He said, pointing to his sisters. He turned around and looked at Tsunami. As if reading his mind, she pointed him to a guest room. He thanked her and went there without ever looking back. Both sisters scowled at this and Kushina flinched at the emotionless tone Naruto used, and unconsciously she once again rubbed her shoulder. She remembered what happened week ago after the graduation exam when Naruto got home. Flashback. Your father should be home by now, Kushina said as she opened the door to their house. And indeed the first thing they saw was Minato waiting for them with huge smile on his face. Hey there girls, I heard you are officially genin now. Good work, he said, and the girls smiled. Kushina's thoughts went to Naruto, wondering how he is and what's he doing. The girls were talking with their father. They said that they were exhausted and just wanted to go to sleep as they started going to their respective rooms. They stopped, however, when they heard their mother's voice. Dinner will be ready soon. After that we have an announcement to make. It has to do with your brother. Both girls nodded, and that's when the door opened. Naruto walked in and went straight for his room. He stopped when he noticed eyes on him. He looked around and saw that everybody's eyes were on him. What? He asked, feeling creeped out. This was weird. His family was acknowledging his presence. That's just weird, Naruto thought. Not to mention that it's the first time they noticed you. Kurami said. Well, Kurami has got a point, but am I the only one that thinks their sudden change is creepy? Said Kyoka Suigetsu. No, I feel creeped out too, thought Naruto. Perhaps they finally noticed they've got 3 children? Called out the voice of Senbon Sakura, Naruto's newest Zanpakuto. He acquired Senbon Sakura about a month ago, but with his shadow clones, he already has years worth of practice. He already achieved Bankai, but he didn't have time to really practice with it, though he expected to change that in few upcoming days. Whatever their reason, maybe they're talking to you, said Zangetsu. Zangetsu was Naruto's first Zanpakuto. She was born the same day he met and befriended Anko. After they met and talked, they realized that their lives were pretty similar. At first Anko was reluctant, but after Naruto told her about his life, she could see the fear in his eyes. He was afraid that she would be the same as all the others. Anko, seeing this, gave him a hug and decided to tell him her story. About Orochimaru and how village treated her because of him. At the end of the story she lone tear on her cheek. Naruto, seeing this, hugged her and promised her he would always be by her side. Anko was little skeptical about that, but she told him that if he kept his promise she too would always stand by him. That night Naruto didn't sleep. He was thinking about Anko and her life, and about how she didn't deserve her life. About how people treated her like slut, bitch and traitor, even though she has a heart of gold. He didn't want her to live her life like that. He wanted to protect her. Give her happiness she deserves. He didn't want her to cry or to be hurt. And it was from that very desire to protect his loved ones that Zangetsu was born. Kyoka Suigetsu was born not too long after he sneaked in the Uchiha compound and read the Uchiha tablet. Kurami told him it was written by the Rikudo Sennin and only those with special eyes could read it. He found out about Sharingan and its evolutions and requirements. Some of the requirements made him sick, and he was glad that his Sharingan were M's from the beginning. He also read about the Rinnegan. Most of the stuff written there he already knew, however he learned few things that even Kurami didn't know. For example, he also learned that it was possible to have more than one of his clones sent to Limbo. Limbo clones were special. They were created by Rinnegan, and in normal world they are practically useless. Also, creating just one such a clone and sending it to Limbo took most of Naruto's chakra, and he was pretty much out for the day, unless Kurami gave him some of her chakra, so he just assumed it was one clone and that's enough kind of thing. The Limbo clone was actually made by combining the yin and yang elements, creating Onmyoten, the yin-yang release. And creating Limbo clone was actually a lot more taxing on the chakra than the creation of all things jutsu that allowed him to create something out of nothing, which seemed simply ridiculous in his mind, because creating such a clone is basically the same thing as creating something out of nothing. He also learned about Kurami's father, the Sage of Six Paths, also known as Hagoromo Otsutsuki, his brother Homura, his sons Indra and Ashura, the religion he created, Ninshu, Princess Kaguya and her godlike powers. Jubi, Shinju and Shinju's fruit, and also about the Mugen Tsukuyomi. After he read through all of the tablet he was stunned. He sneaked out and thought about the Mugen Tsukuyomi. He knew it was wrong, but he just couldn't stop thinking about it. What if I could make it real? What if it wasn't just a genjutsu? Everyone's desires coming to fruition. He knew something like that was impossible. However, he just couldn't stop himself from wanting it to be possible. It was that exact moment he decided that he would surpass both Hagoromo, his brother, and maybe even Princess Kaguya, and bring peace to the world. A real peace, not just a genjutsu. He made that his dream. It was from this desire to turn the illusionary peace into the real thing that Kyoka Suigetsu has been born. Senbon Sakura was born from his passion for fighting. As years went by, Naruto realized he loved fighting. Graceful moves, fast attacks, quick thinking. All of it, dangerous yet beautiful, he thought. And Senbon Sakura was an embodiment of that. Beauty and danger in one package. Could you repeat that? Naruto asked, confused. He had no idea what she was saying. I said dinner is going to be ready soon. Also, me and your father have an announcement to make. She said, and Naruto nodded and went to his room. He needed a shower. After 15 minutes he came down, noticing he was the last one. He also noticed how they were just sitting there as if waiting for him. Did hell finally freeze? He thought as he sat down and started eating. He noticed how everyone started eating too once he started. The silence was broken by Minato. So Naruto, how was the exam? He asked. Young teen looked at Kushina, then back at him. Lame, I didn't get to finish my dance. Naruto answered. Dance? Asked a confused Minato. He means fight. He always refers to fight as dance. Answered Natsumi. Oh, do you really think you stood a chance? Kushina asked teasingly, smirking. Naruto never answered as he continued eating at fast pace. Kushina frowned at this and unconsciously she rubbed her shoulder. Naruto also noticed how she seemed to flinch from pain before she rubbed the spot on her shoulder. When Naruto finished his meal he stood up and went over to the sink as he started cleaning his plate. Kushina frowned when she saw this. Naruto-kun, you don't have to do that. I will clean, don't bother. Naruto interrupted her. I wouldn't want to bother you, or get in your way. He said calmly, without ever looking behind him. If he did he would notice obvious expression of hurt on Kushina's face. He finished with his plate and went for his room, but his father's voice called out to him. Go to the living room. We have an announcement. Naruto almost groaned but complied nonetheless. He sat down on the couch and waited. Soon the rest of the family arrived. The girls sat down beside him while Minato and Kushina stood in front of them. Naruto-kun, Kushina started, we decided that it is time for us to train you. Natsumi and Naruto smiled at this. After their talk with Kyuubi they felt bad for treating him like that. After witnessing his strength in his fight against Mizuki it was obvious he wasn't a weakling. However, after that they realized that it was dumb to judge if he was worthy to be there, Oni-chan, based on that. Both Naruto and Natsumi promised themselves that they would be better sisters for him, even though he was still his annoying self, so only to a certain extent. That's great, said Natsumi. Naruto nodding her head in agreement. Right, now we can train together. No, came short answer from Naruto. Everyone looked at Naruto with wide eyes. What do you mean, Naruto? Your mother and I are both splendid shinobi. Do you not want to learn our styles and techniques? Asked a bewildered Minato. Naruto looked at him calmly and said, no, you are like 6 years late. I am not interested anymore. If that is all then I am going to my room. I need to rest, Naruto said nonchalantly as he stood up and went to his room. Kushina and Minato stood there shocked while the girls held sad expressions. Naruto wasn't interested to become part of their family anymore. The girls understood that, but it was still sad to see their brother not even considering himself as part of the family. Flashback end. Tomorrow we will train, for now you guys go to sleep. Kushina ordered. Naruto and Natsumi nodded. They got into their bed and went to sleep. Next day, Naruto woke up to a rather interesting morning. He was the last one to wake up. As usual, when he came down and went to the kitchen he found couple of new people sitting at the table. Smiling Tsunami came out. Ah, Naruto-san, you're finally up. Come, breakfast is ready. She said. Naruto smiled at her. Thank you, Tsunami-san. By the way, Naruto is just fine. he said as he went to the table where his team along with 4 new guests were already sitting. The 4 new guests were Team 11, Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, a pale kid that Naruto didn't recognize, and Hitaki Kakashi. Naruto gazed questioningly at his mother. She seemed to understand what he meant and started talking. After the whole Zabuza incident, I sent summons to inform the village of our progress, and they were sent here as our support. Naruto nodded and started eating his breakfast. Others engaged in conversation, but Naruto didn't really care. It was delicious. Thank you, Tsunami-san, Naruto said, grinning. Tsunami nodded with smile. It was the least she could do for keeping her father safe. Well, time for the training. Let's go to the forest, said Kushina in her usual cheery manner. That includes you too, Naruto, she said firmly. Naruto groaned but followed the order. He just woke up, he wasn't in the mood for arguing. Rest of the Team 7 and Kakashi followed. Where are you going, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Sakura. Kakashi turned around and looked at her. We are going to the forest with Kushina-sama and her team. You guys need training too, he said as he brought out Icha and followed Team 7. Soon whole Team 11 followed Kakashi and the rest. Actually, I was hoping you would protect the bridge builder, Kakashi, Kushina said. Of course, Kushina-sama. Kakashi nodded, remembering the actual mission. Though my team doesn't have stamina that Uzumaki have. Try not to overdo it with them, he said, though he didn't look concerned as he walked back to the kitchen, informing Tazuna about the most recent developments. When they arrived to the forest, Kushina stopped, as did the rest of the genin. Alright then, first off I need to know how much did Kakashi teach you? She said, looking at Team 11. He taught us about the teamwork, said Sakura. And? Kushina said expectantly. And that's it, said Sasuke. Kushina frowned at that. Well, for as long as I remember, Kakashi was always lazy, but that's a little bit too much. Alright then, we will start with tree climbing, Kushina said. But Kushina-sama, we already know that, Sakura said. Even without hands? Replied Kushina. Sakura and Sasuke looked at her as if she has grown a second head. The pale-looking kid, whose name was Sai, looked unmoved. Is that even possible? Screamed Sakura. Naruto winced at the volume the pink fangirl was using and walked up to the tree. Yes, it is, she said, bringing attention to herself as she started walking up the tree, defying gravity. Soon she reached the top of the tree. It's a chakra control exercise. You channel your chakra to your feet. Too much and it'll blow you backwards, too little and you won't stick, Naruto said, and with that she jumped down from the tree. Exactly, Kushina said. I already taught that to my team, so we're going to be doing the water walking exercise over there, she said, pointing to a nearby lake. She heard a scoff from her right. When she turned, she saw Naruto looking at her with eyes that clearly said, yeah, right. She then realized that while she taught Naruto and Natsumi the tree climbing exercise, she didn't teach Naruto since he didn't get the early training like the girls. Actually, Naruto-kun, you should try tree climbing now, she said. Instead of following the order, Naruto pushed himself from the tree he was leaning on and started walking off. What a waste of time. I will do my own training, he said. Naruto, you are not leaving this place till you can get on top of that tree, Kushina said, pointing towards the tree that was behind her. Naruto looked at the tree she was pointing to and calmly walked to it. He then pushed chakra to his feet and jumped high, spinning upside down in the air, landing on the branch from the downside. I could do this since I was 7 years old. That's why I said it was a waste of time, he said, jumping down from the branch, landing gracefully and walking away calmly. I'll be back around dinner, don't look for me, he said. I'm going to finish that jutsu, he thought, determined to have it ready for use in his next battle. Sasuke and Sakura both had wide eyes and soon started doing the exercise. Sai was just standing there, his fake smile firmly on his face, not moving an inch. Kushina sighed, deciding to let Naruto do his own thing for now. She turned around and looked at her daughters. She made a shadow clone and left it with Team 11. Alright, let's go, she said as she started explaining how water walking worked. After their training, all of them returned to Tazuna's house. Natsumi and Naruto were both exhausted, but they made a pretty good progress with their training, so they had smiles on their faces. Sai was fake smiling. Sakura was worshipping Sasuke. And Sasuke was brooding. Both Sai and Sakura had done their tree climbing exercise, while he, the Uchiha elite, was still stuck at something like that. 1 week later, Next couple of days were pretty much the same as the first day of training. Only difference being that Sakura and Sai moved to the water walking exercise, with Sasuke joining in day after. And the girls finished the water walking and instead Kushina used some chakra paper to find out their affinities. Natsumi had high water affinity and low wind affinity, and Naruto had strong affinity for wind and low for water. After finding out their affinities, Kushina taught them few water jutsu. And Naruto disappearing and training alone. "You are really crazy," thought Naruto when she remembered how Naruto trained. She and Natsumi went looking for him because it was really late and he still hasn't arrived back. They went to the forest and found hundreds of Narutos training, all of them doing the same thing. The whole area has been destroyed. There were holes in the ground, some trees looked burned while others looked like they have been cut. Suddenly all the clones dispelled and an exhausted-looking Naruto appeared in front of them. "It's rude to spy on others. Didn't your parent teach you that?" Naruto asked. Naruto frowned. "We weren't spying. Ka-chan was worried, so we went to look for you. You're usually back by now." Naruto chuckled. "I didn't realize I had a curfew," he said, amused. He then looked up and realized it was rather late. "Well, I guess I can finish it tomorrow. I am pretty tired," he said as they started walking back. "So what were you doing back there?" asked Natsumi, curious. "Trying to perform a jutsu," Naruto said in a matter-of-fact tone, though it was obvious he was playing with Natsumi, and Natsumi groaned. "Do you always train that way?" Naruto asked, curious. "Experience from the clones goes back to the original when it is dispelled. Meaning if I make 365 clones, I will get year worth of practice in just one day. The only reason I can train that way is because I am an Uzumaki and because of Kyuubi. Otherwise I'd be dead by now," Naruto said seriously. "Don't even think about training the same way. Kyuubi makes sure I don't die. You only posses her chakra, but you are still Uzumaki, so you can probably pull it off at smaller scale. Max 20 clones though," he said strictly. "If you are going to use my training method, you are going to follow what I just said," he said. "Also, keep it a secret." "Damn, I understand why he is so powerful now," thought Natsumi. Both hers and Naruto's jaw dropped. Their brother had trained himself for years. Kyuubi told them that, and if he was training like that always, it made sense that he possessed such power. When they arrived back, Naruto greeted everyone and went for sleep, obviously worn out. When Naruto woke up next day, he came down and started eating his breakfast. Then Inari, Titazuna's grandson, started talking. "What are you doing here? You're all just going to die. Gato is just too powerful," he said. Naruto was the one to reply. "Well, aren't you just a big ball of sunshine? Don't worry, we will deal with Gato," he said. "Deal with him? You just come here from your pretty village, living happy life, and say something like that? You have no idea what it means to suffer, but you will learn if you don't leave." Inari stopped talking when he suddenly felt huge ki wash over him from Naruto, who calmly stood up. Others felt it too, and the non-ninja like Tsunami and Tazuna were frozen in place. Others were tense. Kakashi and Kushina got ready to intercept Naruto if something happened. Naruto and Natsumi looked at each other, both thinking the same thing. "Oh shit." Naruto walked calmly towards Inari, who was scared shitless. Tsunami seemed to snap out of her state and went to stand between Inari and Naruto, but she felt someone's hand on her shoulder. She looked around to see Tazuna, who was shaking his head. "He won't hurt him, and Inari needs this," he whispered. Tsunami frowned and went to her son, but Tazuna stopped her once again. "I don't like this any more than you do, but Inari needs to wake up," he said sternly. Naruto stopped in front of Inari and he smiled for a second, but he quickly covered it by scowl. Though the key was still there. "Tell me, Pipsqueak, do you have a loving family that takes care of you?" he asked, and Inari dumbly nodded. "Do you have a place you can call home or place where you can sleep?" he asked once again, Inari once again nodding. "Then you don't know what suffering truly is." "Hey, sometimes I actually had to sleep outside cause my family," he said, doing the universal sign of quotes, "locked me out." He then turned around and proceeded to take off his cloak and t-shirt. Immediately he heard gasps behind him. There were scars on his back. They were not huge or anything, however there was one huge one. Naruto and Natsumi both winced, recognizing that one was the one Mizuki gave him. While Kyuubi could heal him, if the injury was too deep there would be a scar left behind. He turned around and another set of gasps followed when he turned around. There was a huge scar on the right side of his chest. On his left side, even though it was small, there was scar that looked like it was made by some animal, probably a dog. And indeed it was a dog. Inuzuka dog to be exact. On his master's order. There was also a couple of smaller scars on his right side. Throughout the years, the villagers did this to me. At first they made sure to go easy on me cause they didn't want the Hokage to find out. I remember getting home and telling my parents about it. However, because of Kyuubi's soul being sealed within me, all of my injuries already healed and they wrote it off as me just wanting some attention. This repeated couple more times until I exploded and started yelling at my parents asking them why would they let something like that slide, but since there were no injuries they didn't believe me. My mother slapped me and my father started yelling at me to stop telling such lies and that they had enough of it, sending me to my room. Next day couple of drunkards started chasing me when I heading home. Eventually it became just another mob. They chased me to a dead end, but this time it was different. They've been beating the shit out of me for almost a month now yet nothing ever happened. No one noticed, so since no one noticed they could get rougher. They didn't need to hold back. He traced the scar on his chest. This scar, it was made by one of the Anbu under the Hokage's command that time. He said, and once again he could hear gasps coming from everybody. He took his shirt and put it back on along with his cloak. As you can see, Inari, I am not very popular in my village. Ninja and civilians alike hate me. I have been beaten, tortured, poisoned and later there were even few rape attempts, but by that time I already knew how to protect myself. Eventually they stopped forming mobs, seeing that I could fight back now, but even to this day it's obvious they hate me. This has been done to me by the same sons of bitches that I swore to protect. But do you know what the difference between me and you is? I don't bitch and cry about it, he said as he turned around and walked out of kitchen. Thank you for the meal Tsunami-san, but I am afraid I lost my appetite. I am going to train, he said opening door. Naruto shot out of her seat immediately going after him. Wait, Kushina yelled. But both Naruto and Naruto were already gone. We'll go after them, said Kakashi and went after them. Kakashi-sensei, yelled Sakura and started running after him. Sasuke decided to just leave as this seemed like a family problem, so he went after Sakura. And Sai just followed the rest of Team 11. Inari shot out from his seat and run to his room. Tsunami wanted to go after him but was once again stopped by Tazuna. Leave him alone for now, he said. Tsunami frowned at her father but nodded nonetheless. They turned towards the shinobi in the room and Tsunami looked at Kushina who was crying. Was his life really that bad? She asked and Kushina started shaking her head. It couldn't be. It couldn't. It's impos. Bullshit. Angry Natsumi exclaimed. While I don't really know what kind of life he had, I know that he has been ignored by our family. Are you telling me you didn't ignore him his whole life? It was always about us. When we were deciding where to eat, if Naruto said ramen and Naruto said sushi, then we were eating sushi. If we went for movies, if Naruto wanted comedy and I wanted horror, we would watch horror. It's not that he's been distancing himself. He just lost interest to become part of our family. He was always ignored. He just got tired of it. When was the last time you heard him refer to one of you as mother or father? Natsumi waited for a minute but Kushina was silent entire time. See, you don't remember. That's because he refers to you as Kushina and Minato. For as long as he can remember he had to take care of himself. She said angrily, Naruto and me are the same. We were never family to him, but we are at least aware of it and are trying to make up for it unlike you. No, I didn't, Kushina said. The pain on her shoulder was now unbearable as she screamed from pain and fell down on the ground. She was clutching her shoulder in pain, but her mind was on something completely different. No, I wouldn't abandon my child, she thought frantically. By now Tsunami, Tazuna and Natsumi were by her side trying to figure out what is happening. There was a purple glow on her shoulder and Kushina's screams got louder before she blacked out from pain and exhaustion. As she was lying there, Natsumi took the hand that was still on her shoulder and moved it. She then moved her clothes to the side a bit so she could see and she let out a gasp when she saw a seal there. She was taught little bit about seals and since she was an Uzumaki she naturally had better understanding of sealing techniques than most people. She was inspecting the mark on her mother's shoulder for about 5 minutes. Tazuna and Tsunami stayed silent, seeing that Natsumi was obviously doing something or at least trying to figure something out. Shit, they heard Natsumi and instantly asked what was going on. Tazuna-san, Tsunami-san, I need you to keep this a secret. For now let's move her up and let her rest. When Kakashi and his team return, don't say anything about this to them, and when Naruto and Naruto come back, send them to me. Tell them it's serious. Both nodded, but Tazuna was curious what was going on. So what exactly is that mark? He asked after they put Kushina to bed. Natsumi looked at them for a little while. It was a seal, put on her without her consent and knowledge. I'm not that good with seals, but I can understand enough to know that it's a loyalty seal. Basically it's kind of like a more subtle version of slave seal, though it's obvious she is fighting it. She saw that both Tazuna and Tsunami had wide eyes and dropped jaws. Good, now that you understand how bad the situation is, I expect you not to tell Kakashi and others. This needs to be kept secret since we don't know when or who put that seal on. Is a lot better with seals than me, but there's no way she will be able to do something about seal of this level. I hope Naruto knows something about seals. If not, then we will just have to wing it and finish this mission with her like that. Once we return home, San is a seal master, he should be able to deal with this. Natsumi said seriously. Both Tazuna and Tsunami nodded. Good, now let her rest. I'll wait for her to wake up so that I can explain things to her. She said as she lied down to bed next to Kushina's. Tsunami and Tazuna left the room. Who could have put that seal on her? And when? And what do they want? Thought Natsumi as she closed her eyes. Meanwhile, with Naruto and Naruto. Naruto stopped when he arrived to port. He was just standing there for a few seconds before he spoke. Why are you following me, Naruto Imuoto? Naruto didn't answer, instead she just gave him a hug. Naruto was surprised at first, but after a while he returned the hug. I'm sorry, he heard her say. His expression changed from soft one to confused. Why? He asked softly. For everything. You don't deserve the treatment you get. Naruto hummed. Perhaps. I am awesome after all. Naruto said with slight chuckle. I don't get it. How can you still be such an annoyingly happy-go-lucky idiot after everything you went through? Naruto asked, pulling back a little bit so she could see his face. That's a easy one. If I turned into a, I hate everyone and everything, emo kid, eventually I would have become the same as villagers. Blinded with hatred, pain and sadness. Instead I focused on becoming strong. Not for me, but for people who saved me from becoming that emo kid. My precious people protected me when I needed it the most, helped me when I was in trouble. There is nothing I could ever do to repay them. They are my support and I will always be theirs. Said Naruto with conviction. Naruto looked at for a little while before soft, but sad smile appeared on her face. I don't deserve such an amazing brother. She said quietly. Suddenly Naruto grabbed her bridal style and started running. Before she even knew it, she's standing on her legs again, hiding behind wall with Naruto. What the? She said, blushing from both embarrassment and anger. Shish, just watch and wait. He said. She peeked from the corner and after few seconds she saw Team 11. They followed you. Naruto said casually, leaning on the wall, eyes closed. So? They are not our enemies. Said confused redhead. If they see us they will bring us back. I wasn't planning on coming back tonight. The Inari incident happened at frighteningly good time for me to pass this opportunity. Although I do admit that spilling my guts in front of everyone wasn't the brightest idea, even more so with Kushina being present, but it still worked out pretty good in the end. Everyone bought the anger act. Naruto grew even more confused by that. What are you talking about? She asked, watching as Kakashi and the rest turned back and went away. I want to explore a certain place. So I am not coming back tonight. While everything I said back there was true, I wasn't really angry, I just acted so I could get away. Naruto said. Explore? Asked the redhead. The only way you're finding out is if you come with me. Either way I am not coming back. She scowled at her brother. They're gone, she said as she stopped hiding behind the wall. So, are you coming? Naruto asked, still in the same position, eyes closed. Naruto sighed. Sure, why not? We are coming back tomorrow, right? She asked, unsure. Yup, Naruto said, pushing himself off the wall. You finished the water walking exercise, right? Naruto asked. Yes, but what does? She stopped when she noticed where Naruto was looking. She looked the same direction and all she saw was water. You can't be serious. We can just take the boat instead. She looking at him with expression that clearly said, "Dumbass. No, we can't. Boat won't be able to get there. We are running. Let's go. The sooner we are there the better," he said as they jumped on the water and started running. They were running for about an hour and a half, just making small talk with Naruto, learning small things about Naruto and other way around. "Whoa, a whirlpool," said Naruto. Both of them stopped running and Naruto had small smile on his face. "It seems we're getting close," Naruto said as he started looking around. "Aha, there," Naruto said, pointing to island in distance that seemed to be in the middle of dozens of whirlpools. "What is wrong with you? How the hell do you expect us to get there?" Naruto asked, looking at Naruto with ridiculous expression on her face. "That's easy. We fly," he said as if it was normal for humans to do that. "We fly? Look, if this is another one of your pranks I swear I will kick you off. Put me down, idiot," yelled Naruto when Naruto suddenly picked her up bridal style once again and activated his Rinnegan. He used Diva Path to push himself at the water and started flying. Naruto stopped struggling and looked at her brother with odd expression etched on her face. "He's actually flying. He can actually fly," she thought, looking up at her brother. When she looked at his eyes, she noticed his Rinnegan was active. "Is it because of his eyes?" she thought. She soon dismissed it as she snuggled into his chest and closed her eyes. After running so long on the water, she was exhausted. She was slowly falling asleep with a smile on her face and Naruto's strong arms snuggling into his muscular, but not overly muscular chest as she inhaled his scent. Suddenly her eyes shot open. "I did not just think that. He is my brother," she thought frantically. She looked up to see that Naruto didn't seem fazed by her sudden outburst. He was looking straight ahead with no expression on his face, as if she wasn't even there. She did, however, notice that his arms held her more tightly to him. "Careful, we will be there soon. Just a few more minutes," Naruto said. Naruto blushed as she felt his strong arms holding her protectively. "Crap, this can't be happening. I am not falling for him. Though I do have to admit that he is hot. The scars make him even hotter, but still," she thought. However, she looked at his handsome face, she felt herself blush even deeper shade of red. "Damn it, I need to get this under control." She noticed that they were slowly descending. She looked around and saw that they were already at the island, but there were ruins everywhere around them. "I don't get it. What is this place? What could you possibly want from here? There is nothing here except old ruins," Naruto asked, confusion clear in her voice. I wonder. I think you are wrong and that there is something left. Something worth the trouble. Something only our family has access to. Excluding Minato, of course," Naruto said, further confusing his sister. "This is Uzushio, home to all Uzumaki. Or at least most of them. This is the place where our ancestors lived," Naruto said. Naruto was shocked. This was the former home of her clan? What happened? She asked, curious. "I'm surprised, Imuoto," Naruto said. "I thought Kushina has told you. She used to live here before she came to Konoha, you know." She didn't look at him as she answered, instead choosing to watch the ruins. "She told us about Uzumaki clan, but this is the first time I hear about the Uzumaki village." Naruto looked at her. "I see. This place was destroyed during the war. I am sure you know that Uzumaki clan was feared cause of their knowledge on seals. We have natural talent for them. A common seal master is a simple beginner compared to Uzumaki seal master. That in Uzushio was strong enough to become 6th grade village. And other villages feared that. So they decided to erase the threat. Kiri, Kumo and Iwa formed a temporary alliance and invaded this place. I suppose Konoha can also be held responsible in a way since they were close allies with Uzushio, yet when they were asked to help they flat out refused. Still, even against allied forces of 3 hidden villages, more than 75% of enemy forces were destroyed before Uzushio was completely overwhelmed and destroyed. Naruto explained. Naruto started walking and Naruto quickly followed. "Still, what are we doing here?" she asked as they were walking trough ruins. "I am hoping to find some scrolls about seals. Maybe even learn about past. But mostly I'm looking for a certain place. It was built for training purposes. I'll tell you more about it once we find it," he said, not really caring about anything else than said training chamber. They were walking trough the ruins in silence for a couple of minutes before they saw a tower. "That must be the Azukage Tower. Let's check it out," Naruto said. Naruto nodded and started walking towards the tower along her brother. When they were in front of said tower they noticed it looked untouched. "Let's go in, nay?" Naruto said cheerfully. Naruto merely nodded and walked alongside her brother. Suddenly a bright yellow wall appeared around the tower. "What's that? A barrier? Now it makes sense why this is the only place still standing." "We can't get in," said the redhead with frown. She was curious what was inside. It seems so. However, you can wipe that frown off your face, Imuoto." "Look," answered the blonde Jinchuriki, pointing at the words that started appearing on the wall. "Only those with Uzumaki blood may pass." "Spoke too soon, Imuoto," Naruto said with chuckle as he started walking forwards. She pouted and followed after him, passing through the wall and going inside. After coming in they were pleasantly surprised by how clean the place looked after so many years. Naruto activated the Rinnegan to ensure that no more surprise barriers or seals catch them off guard. "Stay behind me. There is a possibility that there are few traps here," he said calmly, walking forward, his eyes scanning the hallway. As they walked through the door at the end of the hallway they found stairs. "What do you think, Naru-chan? Up or down?" asked the blonde. "I don't know. Up, I guess," she said, not really caring. They went up and went through the door. There was another hallway. This time there were bunch of rooms on the left and right. They went through all the rooms, but they didn't find anything important. They encountered couple of seals and barriers, but Naruto made quick work of them using the Rinnegan's Preta path. At the end of the hallway there was another room. They went in and found out that it was the office of Azukage. After couple of hours of searching the room they found out about the storage room, where Uzushio kept jutsu scrolls, sealing scrolls and more. They also found out about the Uzumaki tree. Apparently it was kind of like family tree, but more, it also showed if said person was alive or dead. Meaning if there were any other Uzumaki out there they would know with just a look on the Uzumaki tree. They continued searching since for a while longer when Naruto found something. "Hey Dobi, what's this?" "The Uzumaki time house," she read out loud. She was startled however when Naruto shouted in joy. "Finally! That's the main reason we came here." "I don't know. Time house? You said that the place you were looking for was built for training purposes. This sound more like some weird house that lets you relieve your memories or something like that. Not to mention that whatever purpose the house serves it's a ridiculous name." Naruto chuckled at her. "Lets you relieve memories, Trust me, it's nothing like that. The Uzumaki time house is the pinnacle of Uzumaki seals. It's covered in seals that alternate time flow. 1 year in that house is only 1 day outside. It's got everything you need to survive and it has an indestructible training chamber. The time house is what really show the difference between an Uzumaki and a common seal user. Though I do admit that it's an idiotic name," Naruto said, grinning. Naruto couldn't believe it. Seals that alternate time flow? How is that even possible? Her father is a seal master, but he never mentioned that such a seal even exists. Even more shocking was that her mother was a Uzumaki seal user level 6, but she never mentioned seal even remotely as amazing as that. Hell, Naruto had interests in Fuinjutsu herself and she made a lot of research on it, but this was first time she heard about something like that. "You can't be serious," she said in quiet tone. "I am. It's the truth. You'll see soon enough," Naruto said, still grinning. If he spent a year in the time house, and each day he would make just 365 clones, he can do lot more and continue training. He could actually gather 365 years worth of training in just 1 day. He could not wipe the stupid grin off his face. "We have everything we wanted and more. Come Imuoto, it seems everything we need is downstairs," Naruto said casually. Naruto looked at him. "What are you planning to do now?" Naruto smirked. "Why, I am going to see if any of our relatives are still alive. Then I'll check the storage room and finally I'll lock myself in the time house for a year. And you are staying with me since you can't leave." Naruto looked at him like he was crazy. "No way, you told me we would come back tomorrow." Naruto's smirk grew. "But we will. To everyone else it will be just day. While we will train for 1 year. Seeing that Naruto was about to protest he quickly continued. "Look Imuoto, I am staying here training for 1 year. If you really want to go back, that's fine. I'll have a clone fly you back and I will return tomorrow. Or you can stay here with me for 1 year and train. Chunin exams will be soon and with me training you for 1 year those idiots won't hold a candle to you." "So what is it?" he asked neutrally. He didn't really care, even if she left he wouldn't be alone, there was still Kurami and his Zanpakuto spirits. He was simply offering her a chance to get stronger. At first he was worried about being lonely for a whole year, but when he thought about it he came to conclusion that it didn't matter since he wasn't alone in the first place. He just thought it would be nice for at least one person to be there with him physically, not just in his head. In the end he came to conclusion that it didn't matter. Naruto on the other hand was thinking, this was great opportunity. She could get a lot stronger in 1 year. Not to mention that it was her brother training her. Recollecting the memory of his power when he fought Mizuki, went toe-to-toe with her mother using only small fraction of his power, easily defeating the demon brothers and even making Zabuza Momochi from Kiri Shinobigatana Nanan and Shu look like newbie. Her brother was the most powerful person she knew and she was pretty sure that he was hiding more power from her and everyone else. Getting trained by him seemed like a very good idea. On the other hand she would have to go a whole year of not seeing her family and friends. That however was quickly discarded as it would only be 1 day for the rest of the world. Nodding to herself she looked at Naruto. Fine, I'll stay here with you and train. Seeing Naruto smile a very creepy smile she felt a shiver run down her spine. Good, that's good, said Naruto, the creepy smile not leaving his face. I get to train you for 1 year. He said in cheerful manner, the creepy smile still settled on his face. Suddenly his face gained a serious expression. Listen, and listen well, I Muoto. During training I make rules and you listen to them. When I say jump you ask, how high? No talking back. I don't care what you do outside the training, but once we enter the training chamber you will listen to my every word. Got it? The blonde asked. Hi, I get it, Naruto said obediently. Good. Also my training will be harsh. I am telling you right now. If I give you an order and for whatever reason you won't go through with it, consider the training done and you can go back to Tazuna-san. Understood? He continued. Hi, I understand, she said once again. Well then it's time to go check the Uzumaki tree, then we'll check the storage room and grab whatever scrolls we find and then we start our training. Sounds good? He said as his serious expression disappeared and the happy-go-lucky idiot returned. Naruto smiled seeing her brother return back to normal. To be honest it creeped her out seeing him that serious. Yeah, sounds good. Come on, I'm curious about this Uzumaki tree, she said walking down to the basement where the Uzumaki tree was supposed to be. Following the directions in the Azukage's file they came to the big room. On the wall there was a glowing family tree. Most of the names had red glow accompanying them, but there were couple of names that had green glow. Quickly coming to conclusion that the green ones were the ones still alive, they started looking trough the names and photos belonging to the names. Most of the names didn't have photos, tough only few, and not one of them was glowing green. They even found their own names glowing green, confirming their thoughts about the meaning of green and red glows. There was one name which caught Naruto's attention. He looked at it for a couple of seconds before reading out loud. Mei Terumi, catching Naruto's attention. Is she an Uzumaki too? Interesting, Naruto said. It seems that her mother was an Uzumaki. Naruto's voice called out pointing at the name of Mei's mother which had a red glow. I will make sure to remember this, he said activating Sharingan, 3 tomos spinning lazily as he burned the whole Uzumaki tree into his memory. He placed a Shinpo marker in the room before saying, let's go to the storage room. Naruto happily followed since after that her training would start. She was looking forward to her training. Arriving to the storage room and seeing countless scrolls, he decided to make this quick as he summoned 1,000 clones and said, alright, get everything useful to the training chamber in the time house and drop the rest somewhere else in the time house. There may be some useful information in there, he said as clones saluted to the original and started to do their work. You know you shouldn't abuse those poor shadow clones like that, right? Asked Naruto. She was highly impressed by the fact that he just made 1,000 clones and seemed fine. The clones are clones. They are me and they feel exactly the same on this matter. Even though they have a mind of their own, they still retain my mindset. They want to get this done quickly so we can get to our training. Let's go to the time house. He ended with grin. Naruto grinned back at this. Let's go. I can't wait, she said walking towards the time house. Once they arrived to the house, Naruto felt his last clone puff out of existence. It seems they are done moving the scrolls. One of my clones had the bright idea of simply teleporting the scrolls, after that it was a matter of minutes, he said. Naruto was surprised once again. You can teleport things? Is there something you can't do? Naruto chuckled as they went to the basement where the training chamber was. No, I can't just teleport random things. But I can teleport myself and anything that's touching me, he said, opening the door to the basement. Once he did, both Naruto and Naruto saw a huge training ground and both of them were rendered speechless for the second. I already love this place, he said while Naruto nodded dumbly. Okay, first things first. Seals, Naruto said. What about them? She asked, confused. Give me your hand, she did as asked, remembering what he said about her training. Okay, I will place seals on your hand and explain everything while getting them ready, he said, and Naruto nodded. Naruto outstretched his hands, blue fire appearing in left hand and red fire appearing in right hand. Naruto watched in fascination, trying to figure out what he was doing. He brought his hands together, the two flames becoming one, as he called out, Onmyoten, Banbutsu Sozo. He brought his hands down when the combined flame became pure white light. When the light died down, there was a brush and black ink simply floating in the air. Naruto took them and looked at shocked Naruto. Give me your hand, Imuoto, he said, and she did as she was told. He quickly finished the seals and activated them. Both seals started glowing and suddenly number 2 appeared in the middle of each seal. Naruto suddenly felt a lot heavier. She looked at her hand and brought it up to inspect the seals, only to find out that it was a lot harder to move her hand. I see, she said. Gravity and resistance seals. The 2 in gravity seal means that gravity is now affecting me twice as much. That's why I feel so heavy. Naruto smiled at his sister. Correct. The 2 in resistance seal basically means that it's twice as hard to move. They will help with your speed and power. If you send little bit of chakra in the seals, you will be able to add or subtract. Right now I want you to raise both seals up to the point where you will feel that it will be exhausting walking like that, but still manage to do anything you would normally be able to, he said, and Naruto nodded, immediately following the order. She soon found out that 4 seemed like her body simply wasn't hers anymore and that gravity seemed to be crushing her, so she settled at level 3 for both the gravity and resistance seals. She looked at Naruto. I don't think I can deal with higher level, she said, and Naruto nodded. Okay, first exercise is easy. Sprint until you fall from exhaustion, he said. Naruto looked at him with wide eyes. What, you expect me to do that? She yelled. She did come to an immediate halt when she saw Naruto glare at her. We already talked about this. You can do it or you can refuse and go back to Tazuna's inn, he said in cold tone. Seeing as she was silent for a while, he took that as a refusal as clone puffed into existence. Take her back to the inn. Make sure she returns Saf. He was cut off by his sister before he could finish the sentence. No, I'll do it. Kami, what a slave driver, she said. By the way, thanks for this. I appreciate it, Naruto said before she started running. That's all for now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.